Hello and welcome to the Covert Nerd Podcast. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the time that you give me. Today we get to sit down with Jeff again from the Make Eternia Great Again podcast, or Mega podcast as we like to call it. It is a Masters of the Universe podcast. Him and Eddie from Daydream Instruction Manual and other podcasts sit down and talk everything Motu. It's a fun podcast. Jeff and Eddie are great, so I encourage you to go check it out. I'll include a link in the show notes at covertnerd.net. But today, I get to sit down with him again. I sat down with him a while ago, and we talked all things 80s movies, and today is no different. Jeff is a great guy. He's funny, he's smart, and I had a blast sitting down and talk with him. So let's dive right in and nerd it up with Jeff. I've got Jeff here. He was on back in the fall, I think, September.
Yeah.
We were outside.
Yeah, we were outside.
I'm not going to be outside today.
Hearing lawnmowers.
Oh, yeah,
I miss that sound. Mowar.
So go to Mega to hear about Mowar and other things. It's a He-Man podcast that him and Eddie do, and it's a fun podcast. So check it out, and appreciate you taking the time to come back on.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. I love this podcast with you, so it's a fun time, and looking forward to what we're doing today. It's gonna be a good one.
Talking some 90s movies.
That's right. We're jumping in.
I know we talked earlier. It was a little tough, just like our 80s one that we did. So go back to covertnerd.net, by the way, and listen to the 80s, top 5 80s movies. And we decided to do one on 90s, but like we talked about, there's a lot out there.
Man, there is. And now, thinking back on the 80s when it was a little bit easier, there's still a lot of really good movies. And I think that there's so many. I could go back and forth. I think there's more iconic movies from the 80s than there are probably in any other generation.
Yeah.
But I think with the 90s, there was so many really good movies. You know what I'm saying? So you had like a handful of great ones in the 80s. In the 90s, there's a bunch of good ones, So it was really hard. Yeah. When we did the 80s one, I was like, oh, here's my top 5, no problem. Boom. Yeah. But you feel like you're almost selecting through like maybe 15 or 20, And you go to the 90s, you're like, here's my top 40.
I know.
It was like there were so many.
There are. I think age probably makes a difference too.
It does. Yeah,
and I think we'll get into that too, compared to it. So, but real quick, I want to do something a little different. So I have a little quiz for you, Jeff. The What Movie Am I?
Okay.
So the way we set it up is I'll give you a little blurb or description of the movie, and these will all be from the 90s. So at least narrows it down a little bit. And then you have to guess what the movie was. I'm
probably going to do horrible. We'll see.
I don't know. I kind of knew most of these when I did it, and you're better movie buff.
All right, we'll see. I'm excited.
Okay, here's the first one. I tell the story of an innocent banker incarcerated for the murder of his wife. What movie am I?
Oh, man. So
it's from 1994.
Okay.
So
he's incarcerated at that moment. Yes. Is it?
It's 1994. It was directed by Frank Darabont, and this will give it away. Based on a novel by Stephen King.
What? Oh my gosh! It's so hard to be on this side of this. Like, okay, so he's in jail.
Yes.
So I don't read a lot of books.
Innocent banker incarcerated for the murder of his wife. What movie am I? Based on a novel by Stephen King, released in 1994, directed by Frank Darabont.
It's not Shawshank Redemption.
It is.
Is it? See, that's what came to my head. I was like, I love that movie. I was like, I remember him being a banker, but I guess I couldn't remember what he was in jail for. But
there you go.
Anyway, sorry, cool.
Okay, one star for Jeff. So as a listener, you follow along. Next one is, I tell the story of an innocent man accused of killing his wife who is being hunted by a team of U.S. Marshals. What movie am I?
Con Air? No, wait a minute. Say it again. So he was...
I tell the story of an innocent man accused of killing his wife who is being hunted by a team of U.S. Marshals. What movie am I? It's from 1993. And it was based on a TV series by the same name.
Jeez, I don't know. That's a tough one.
The main character was played by Harrison Ford.
Oh my gosh. I know exactly what movie it is. I cannot think of the title though. Is it the one where he's like in the tunnel and stuff? And
yes.
Oh my gosh. What is that?
Starts with an F. Well,
I don't know.
The Fugitive.
Fugitive, that's what it is.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yep, great movie.
It was a remake of the TV show, but awesome movie.
Great movie. I only watched it once. Yep.
Okay, here's another one by a Stephen King novel, so that'll kind of help. A 1999 movie that tells the story of a prison guard and prisoners he looks after on death row. One is very special, and the strange pet owned by one of the prisoners.
Green Mile.
Yep.
Great movie.
You probably had that.
Yeah, Prison
Guard.
Yep.
Good
movie though.
Oh, awesome. So you got 2 Stephen King movies that were
Mr. Bojangles.
Mr. Bo,
Mr.
you're right.
That's right.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
All right. I tell the story of a young, troubled boy who has an unusual gift and the equally troubled psychologist who wants to help him. Written by M. Night Shyamalan. What 1999 movie am I?
Oh, let's see. So say that again. So he's
Tell the story of a young, troubled boy who has an unusual gift.
Sixth Sense.
There you go.
There we go.
Yep. So you got 5 for 5.
All right. Well, almost. I remembered Fugitive. I couldn't remember the name.
Couldn't name it. So I thought that was funny. Just something different to do.
Yeah, that's a blast.
Get our mind into, okay, which movies are we doing?
Hey, if I'm ever back on again, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
We should do that back and forth.
Yeah.
Salkin was.
Yes. Yeah, let's do that next time.
Fun times.
All right.
I love it.
Cool. So this is a top 5 90s movies. So the way it goes is Jeff picks 5, I pick 5. We just go through them and talk a little bit about them, give some memories about them, and a few fun facts about them as well. So I don't remember who went last time, so we'll let you go first this time, Jeff.
Sure. So again, this is in no order which ones I find are my favorite, because that's really tough to do. That's really tough. So I would say the first one that stood out at me in the 90s, and this was actually from 1990, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Fantastic movie. Came in March 30th, 1990. Written by Bobby Herbeck, Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and directed by Steve Barron. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are pretty much the main writers of it. Yep.
Of the comic book.
Of the comic, yep, exactly. But yeah, so they only had a budget of $3.5 million. I
saw that.
Which is incredible. That's so low considering everything that went into that movie. And it grossed $202 million. So
I think they got their money back.
They got their money back and then some. So they did a fantastic job. So kind of a bunch of no-name people to an extent that did the voices and stuff. So Brian Tochi as Leonardo, Josh Pace, I think is his name, as Raphael, Robbie Rist as Michelangelo, and of course the biggest name was Corey Feldman as Donatello.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh man, I knew it before the movie even came out. I remember seeing that he was going to be the voice for one of the
maybe
Turtles.
I forgot, but
yeah, it could have been.
When you brought those notes, I'm like, oh, I didn't know Corey Feldman did that.
Yep. And I was a huge Corey Feldman fan too, so it was pretty cool that he was in there. So, but yeah, Judith, I think her name's Hogue. I think is her name. She's been in a few other movies and stuff. So she played April O'Neil, and then obviously Elias I think it's Cotes. I think, but he did Casey Jones. But he's been in a bunch of different things. So he's been on some sitcoms, or not sitcoms, but I used to think he was on SVU or whatever, one of those shows, but that wasn't right. That was a different guy. But he's been on some other shows and stuff like that. And I didn't realize this until about a year ago when I watched it again with my kids. But Sam Rockwell was one of the kid thugs in the movie. Oh. So he was really young. He was probably he was portrayed as a teenager, obviously. But I remember watching the movie and I was like, holy crap, that's Sam Rockwell is like a young kid, Yeah. But now look at him. I mean, now he's a huge name.
So he got his start. Well, I don't know if it was his first movie, but
I think it was. I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So he might have been in some commercials or something like that before then, but I'm pretty sure it was. But I could be wrong. But anyway, so obviously, if you've never seen the movie, wow. But if you haven't seen the movie, it's obviously the story of these 4 turtles that were mutated by stumbling into some ooze, and then there was a rat that stumbled into some ooze as well. And basically the rat watched in a cage on how to do karate. He was and then so basically when they were mutated, he taught these turtles how to do karate or ninjutsu, I guess, as well. And so but yeah, so basically that was the premise of it. They turn into teenagers and they deal with teenage angst, and they love eating pizza and playing video games and all this other stuff, but they're also ninjas,
crime-fighting
ninjas, exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, just such a fun movie. And, you know, that was kind of the thing back in the 80s and stuff, you know, like Jim Henson was heavily involved, you know, with a lot of movies back then. And he did such a good job with all the animatronics and all these other things and really brought to life before CGI was even a thing. And he brought all these stories to life. So he was actually a part of this. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Well, yeah, it was Jim Henson Productions that did the suits.
The suits, right. And they went back and forth if he even wanted to have his name on anything because he didn't like how violent it was. Yeah. So he was like really put off on, you know, he's like, well, I owe you a favor. I guess he owed Steve Barron a big favor, and so he was like, I owe you this favor. I'll do this, but I don't want to be known for this.
Was.
I don't know. I think he
Loan
did
him some money.
Well, no, I think it was like they did a movie together before or something like that, and so he needed Steve Barron to come in and do something, and then, you know, vice versa, kind of a thing. But
did you see this in the theaters?
I did not. No, I did not. No, it was on tape. Yeah, VHS. That's right. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, no, super, super, super great movie. I was a big Turtle fan myself growing up and everything. I remember reading the first, you know, few comics that were black and white, and I was like, holy smokes, this is violent, you know. It was crazy, you know. But so I kind of fell in love with that, and then like obviously the cartoons and all the toys came out and everything, and like I was huge into Turtles. I had so many Turtles.
Turtle Mania. This 1990 would have been probably at the peak or darn close.
Yeah, darn close to it. Yeah, if not the peak. It was just Turtle Mania, like you said. I mean, Walmart was just stacked with them all the time and everything. And I had so many of those toys. It was crazy. But
okay. Do you still have any of them?
I don't. I don't know what happened. I went over, like you were saying, I'm part of Make Eternia Great Again. So obviously talk about He-Man. So I went over to my parents' house to find a whole bunch of He-Man stuff, and I couldn't find anything. I was like, well, I know I have even more Turtle stuff, so I'll just find those. Couldn't find anything, so I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know
if sales and
I don't know. I asked my dad. My dad was like, "No, they should all be up in the attic." And I don't know. The only thing I think is my little brother. He's quite a bit younger than me. I'm almost thinking that he took them and sold them all and stuff like that. He was that kind of a teenager, you know. So like, I'll sell this for a new Sega game or something like that.
Yeah, no kidding. No, these guys. I watched this in the movie theater a couple times because I was begging my parents to take me to it, and I want to go see it. And I just fell in love with it because it's still lighthearted, but it's dark. I also, Nintendo had a game based on it, and that thing was massively popular.
It was.
Everybody wanted it.
Oh my gosh. And it was hard.
It was. I know.
It wasn't an easy game.
I think it was made by Ultra, which they were kind of known for hard games. Not as bad as some of the other games, but yeah, it was very hard.
It was hard. It wasn't just like a typical side scroller. Like you had a map of the town that you had to get through and everything. And
the movie did a good job of having like a lot of movies too, but the dynamic between the brothers.
Yes.
That you have Raphael with the short fuse, and you have Michelangelo as kind of the goofy guy, and they just rub each other the wrong way constantly.
Raphael was always questioning Leonardo's leadership and everything, and it was just really cool, like how they really nailed it with that.
They did. And my kids watched it. We watched it. I think it was on Netflix or Hulu. I can't remember, and they liked it.
Yes.
It was good. Yeah, it's not CGI'd.
No.
So it does the kind of the old school special effects. And they didn't seem to care.
No, and that's the thing. It's like I kind of miss some of that sometimes. Yes. I think nowadays, you know, so many of these movies are just kind of overdone with the CGI stuff. Like I think J.J. Abrams he dances on that razor blade edge of a line where it's just right. Yes. There's just enough of CGI that it doesn't affect the story, you know. But then you got like Michael Bay, where it's like everything is like over the top, like calm down, bro. You know, it's like, but yeah, I mean, there's some other movies that it's 100% CGI. And it's really good, you know. But I think that something back in the 80s, man, there was just that animatronics and puppets and costumes and stuff like that. And it's like, I just miss that. It just seems so innocent, you know what I mean? Sure. And it was good. It was really good.
It's a good flick. My kids liked it, and I think it hasn't really, some older movies, they're really dated. I mean, it does have some dated material in there, but again, my kids watched it, and they're 8 to, and the youngest one, 13, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a good movie."
Oh, yeah, totally.
and the height of Turtle Mania. I don't know that they will ever be able to repeat that, but
Right.
but yeah, okay.
Yep. So just a couple quick fun things or whatever. I think I had a couple quotes on here and a couple
yes. Gotta
couple
mention 'em.
trivia things or whatever. So my favorite quotes were Donatello, like right at the beginning of the movie, where he's like, "Pizza dude's got 30 seconds."
Yes.
That's right. And
They're hiding in the sewer.
yeah, exactly. And he's like, "Here's your money." He's like, "What?" And he's like, "You're late, bro." And he's like, "Oh, come on, I couldn't find the place."
Never
and, like,
pay full price for late pizza.
That's right, exactly. And then like probably like my favorite exchange was when Donatello goes, "You're a claustrophobic," and Casey Jones goes, "You want a fist in the mouth? I've never even looked at another guy before."
Yes.
Like that line is so classic.
And as a kid, you're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But oh man, it was so funny. But so a couple
That's
of the,
right. I forgot about that
Yep,
one. That
yeah,
was awesome.
I've never even looked at another guy before. But
I bet that's Casey Jones' character. It's kind of supposed to be.
It's all
kinda
brute, no
dumb.
brain.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's just kind of yeah.
Yep,
But he has a heart of gold.
Exactly. But a couple, these are like the most fun trivia things I found out though. So Judith, who played April O'Neil, she was not asked to reprise her role as April in the film's sequels due to her own personal complaining, particularly about the 6-day schedule and the amount of violence in the movie. So she nagged too much and you're gone.
We don't want to listen to that.
Nope.
6 day. That's
Which is too bad because I thought she did a great
yeah,
job.
actually, she did. I think she was probably better than the other one.
Yeah, I think so too, but too bad. But and then another thing was when Raphael got knocked into the trash can by Casey Jones, the face of the animatronics inside head actually caved in and broke the stunt guy's nose.
Ouch.
That's just incredible,
Or if you haven't seen the movie, they wear the turtle suits, but the face to do the talking and the eyes is all animatronic remote. Yeah. Which I know they said for a lot of the stunt guys was difficult to do the stunts because the suit weighs so much,
right,
and the head weighs so much.
Right, and so a lot of the guys, they actually were the character themselves, but the guy who did Raphael or whatever, so he was actually claustrophobic. It's funny that we're
that's funny,
but he was actually claustrophobic. So he would do the scene and have to immediately take his the head off because he was so trapped.
Maybe that's where that line actually came from.
Right.
I wonder.
Exactly. Could be. That'd be funny. But the last, which I thought was the coolest, information about the movie is that Corey Feldman said he was offered only $1,500 to do voice work for this film. Corey accepted, believing the producers who told him that this was only a small, low-budget independent film, hoping that it would have moderate success on VHS if they were lucky. The movie ended up making millions of dollars at the box office. So he only got paid $1,500
and it made $200
million.
I don't know why they would have thought that this wouldn't have made anything because it was a huge IP.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if the figures. I mean, the comic book was popular.
Comic book was popular. The toys were already out.
The toys were already out. Okay.
Yeah.
How did they not think this was going? Maybe because it was too violent and too dark.
Who knows? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But they only had a budget of $3.5 million. So I mean, they must not have had a lot of go ahead on a lot of stuff. And so I do remember them pumping out that Corey Feldman was in the movie. I remember them saying that. So I think they're kind of banking on him helping to hype up the movie, and it might have done a good enough job, hyping it up. But either way, I just found that interesting.
$1,500 is all he got for that. I bet he's kicking himself.
Oh man.
Or maybe I don't know.
You wonder if they came back and gave him something more.
I would hope so. Especially at that time, Corey was a pretty hot property.
He was a big name at that time.
Big name at that time.
Incredible. And such a distinct voice, too.
He does, yeah.
So, either way. Anyways.
It was a good flick. I think good moral story, about the family.
Yes.
And, you got the kid that's rebelling against his dad, and you have the conflict between the turtles and the fight scene at the end with them and Shredder. I thought was, even though I watched it the other day, it's not over dramatic. It's just a good little
fight scene, yeah.
Final confrontation between Shredder and the turtles, and it's not over the top. But it still conveys the message well, I thought.
And that's the thing. I don't want to jump to the future too much here, but have you watched any of the Michael Bay?
Yeah,
turtle films.
I've seen some of it.
So they're okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
There's some funny scenes, and the CGI is done pretty well and whatnot. I don't mind the characters and stuff, but just overall, even as kind of kitschy, whacked out their costumes and stuff were in the first movie. It was just a better movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The last Turtles movie that came out with Krang and everything, that was pretty cool. I actually like that.
I saw the fight scene with that. I haven't watched the whole thing, but
yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It was definitely better than the first one of the Bay films, but no, they just don't hold a candle to these. I mean, and I didn't even like the Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze.
yeah.
I didn't really like that movie all that much. Because I think that they missed the mark by having, like, what was it, Rokar, or what was
Toka
it?
and Razor.
Toka and Razor, that's right.
Yeah, they didn't have the license to Bebop and Rocksteady.
Right, and I was like, man, you should have, like, went after it. You know, you're going to make $200 million off the film,
Yeah, I don't
whatever.
know why they didn't get it. They either couldn't get it or they wouldn't sell it to them. At that point, I would like, maybe you should pick some other character then.
Something, but just to have these two random. But like, I know, like Eddie, you know, who's on Mega with me, you know, I think that's his favorite Turtle movie was the
second
Secret
one?
of the Ooze, which is cool. I mean, it was a bigger film. You could tell they had more money, more budget.
Well, you know what makes it great is they had Vanilla Ice in it.
Yeah, that's right. Go Ninja Go.
The soundtrack actually on the first Turtles was actually pretty good. MC Hammer did some songs on there.
It was good stuff. But either ways, anyway,
good movie.
So that was my first pick.
All right, next one for me is Tommy Boy. Came out in March of '95, and it only cost $5.7 million. I didn't put in there how much it made, but I know it made a lot more than that. But Chris Farley, David Spade, Bo Derek, Brian Dennehy, Rob Lowe, Dan Aykroyd. I mean, look at that
cast.
Oh,
that's incredible.
It's just an amazing cast. And I think in the 90s, for me, 80s, the most quotable movie to me was Spaceballs.
Yes.
But in the 90s,
Boom.
Tommy Boy.
Absolutely.
You cannot. Without a doubt. Everybody.
Oh, man.
At
Did
work.
I catch a niner in there? Like this. So many. Can you tell me where the gym is?
Oh, my gosh. This movie is so good. Basic premise is you've got this Tommy, who's played by Chris Farley, is the son of this well-to-do dad that his factory in Ohio makes car parts, and so he's kind of grown up spoiled for the most part, and he has to come back and work at the factory, and then his dad suddenly dies and he has to go make all the sales call and try to run the company, and everybody at the company is like he's a buffoon and he's an idiot. But I guess I should have said spoilers for all these. We're going to ruin all these for you. So anyway he gets it, makes a success in the end, but his buddy David Spade, who they worked on SNL together, by the way, and he kind of tries to help him and coach him along, and of course he's making fun of him constantly, but they make fun of each other back. And what was it somebody said? All I have for you is 5 words: fat guy in a little coat.
That's right.
And everybody knows that phrase.
Man, and that the chemistry between Spade and Farley was just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, and they played in multiple movies together, and every single time, it didn't matter what the premise of the movie was, it was always great. You know, just the two of them.
Oh, and then on SNL, they always had the good chemistry together. You got the fat guy and then the skinny little blonde guy, and and he
was just like this little schmuck, and then the dumb bubbling fat guy. You know,
I know.
Man, it was so good.
Oh, 6 words, fat guy in a little coat. Sorry, but
I just looked it up really quick. So it said it grossed $67 million.
Okay,
so pretty good considering it was just a comedy.
Yeah,
you know,
just under $6 million to make. But at that time, that was. For Chris Farley, I think that was his first movie.
I think it was his first one, yeah.
And so to come out of the chute like that, he was hot. Again, we were talking about Corey Feldman in the 90s or the 80s, but Chris Farley at this time was a hot property. Him and David Spade both, but I think Chris Farley at the time definitely had more draw.
He was the big guy.
He was the big guy. But they were good friends on and off screen until the girl by the pool. They both dated her.
Oh, really? I didn't know this.
I don't know who was first, but I guess that caused a lot of friction when they did Black Sheep, the next movie that Chris Farley did. So they didn't talk to each other for quite a while, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, I was doing some research on that, and they did not like each other because of that girl that they dated. So in the original working title, here's some of the titles that they had before that. Billy the Third, a Midwesterner. Or Midwestern. Lorne Michael didn't like it because of Billy Madison.
Right, yeah.
And insisted on the change that came out about the same time. Other names were Fat Chance and XL before they settled on Tommy Boy.
That's so funny.
Fat Chance and XL?
Like, that's kind of a rib at just being a heavy guy. Like, that's not funny.
Peter Segal, or Siegel, I guess, was originally set to direct Shazam, and he's the one that did this movie. So I thought that was kind of funny,
cool.
Interesting. And then also in that movie, his David Spade's character, his hair is all kind of screwed up all the time. I guess he wouldn't let the hairstylist on the movie set do his hair.
Really?
So that's why it looks like that. It's not, because you're like his hair, and then oh man, the scene on the plane when David's character is doing the prep thing that they do. Oh, he just does it so deadpan.
It is. Oh my
goodness.
He's like, my friend over here will come back there and hit you over the head with a
tack hammer
because you get it.
Yeah,
But
that
we
whole
won't
scene,
finish that
and then
sentence, but
the airline worker when they're trying to get to Chicago, and she goes, "I can get you on a plane back from Chicago. Does that help?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, how many times does that happen when somebody makes a suggestion
it's
like
Chicago, so this has got to be what you want, right?
Yeah, and we're just shaking your head about. We've all encountered those dumb people, and sometimes we are the dumb person. But that whole scene, the whole movie, just honestly,
Dude, it's like line after line after line after line. It's just brilliant.
How many times have you said to somebody, "Brothers don't shake
hands,
brothers
gotta hug." Yeah, we do it all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, me and my brothers do it all the time to each other. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. He's got the nice car, and then by the end of the movie, it's just a trial and heap. Or another funny scene is the when he's getting gas and he accidentally breaks the door. He pushes it back, and then when he pulls on it, what'd you do? How many times you grew up in a house with brothers? How many times have you done that to your brother?
What'd you do? Yeah. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, the most iconic scene of that entire movie, and I know this because my kids, we fast forward through the bad parts, but my kids watch the movie and they still recite this scene over and over and over again, is when they're sitting in the office with that guy and Tommy starts taking over with the guy's cars and stuff on the desk, and he's like, "Okay, you're driving along, next thing you know, whoa, that was close. But now you got the other guy's brake pads, and you're driving along. Look, I gotta go to the bathroom. Shut up, damn it!" It's like you're driving. I can't stop. And next thing you know, he's like, he's smashing. Like, I can't feel my legs. And he's like lights the car on fire. And he's like, and then the quarter pulls up like, "Oh my god!" He's got like a cigar hanging. I was like, "Oh my god!" And the new guy's in the corner puking his brains out. My kids recite that scene like to the T all the time as such an iconic scene.
Oh yeah, and then the owner is just like,
he's just like, get out. He's like, "Do you validate?" So good.
I forgot about that. Again, you can almost go through the whole movie, and it's just laugh after laugh after laugh after laugh after laugh, and he's at the diner, and he's like, "Is there anything on my face?" It's like, "Nope, can't see anything."
Then she goes, "Oh my gosh, what happened to your face?" I knew it.
Not so much.
It doesn't hurt so much here, but right here.
And he's got this big mark on it.
I have no idea. Look, Mommy, the rhino's getting too close to the car.
Yes. Oh,
that old fight scene is the best. Was that a kiss from your mother? Oh man!
Sorry, we're probably not making sense. If you haven't seen the movie, you have no idea what we're talking
40
about.
minutes of nothing but quotes of
Tommy Boy.
Oh,
again,
man.
it has to be. One other little thing in the motel room in the background, there's a preview of Naked Gun 33 1/3 going on, and that was also directed by Peter as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then in 50 First Dates, which that's a good movie too, it's a Callahan Institute funded out of Sandusky, Ohio, is where Dan Aykroyd's character works at.
Right, yeah.
And it's obviously a callback to the Tommy Boy movie. And then Dan Aykroyd, being the genius that he is, he did all of his scenes in 2 days.
That's incredible.
In the whole movie.
He's
done.
so good in that movie too.
Yeah.
He's so good. Like he owns it so well.
Playing the arrogant rich jerk.
Yeah, just his like hair's all spiky and everything, and like he just talks like super fast about everything, and like send a note that says put some ice in your nuts, and like whatever he says.
He's just so deadpan.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Oh, I love Dan Aykroyd.
Excellent. excellent movie. So did you see that one in the theaters, or what?
I did
what
see
was
that
your,
one
you
in the
did?
theater.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, that was the first movie I ever watched on DVD.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it was about that time that DVDs were just
Well, it
starting
came
to
out in
kind of come out.
'94, so probably '95.
Yeah,
it came
so
out
it was about
on
that time.
DVD.
I remember my buddy like, hey, I got this DVD player. Like he was loaded, and I'm like, what's this? And he's like, here, watch. You can skip different scenes, and I'm like,
You don't have to
"You're kidding
rewind?"
me." Yeah, exactly. I was like, you can just start somewhere, and you don't have to rewind it or whatever. Oh man, it blew my mind. But
We
yeah.
have to get the new DVD. They had one that came out several years ago, the Holy Schnikey edition.
Oh really?
Yeah, Tommy Boy, the Holy Schnikey
So what's
edition.
different with that one?
Which has some extra cut scenes,
Okay, gotcha.
extra like 5 minutes of scenes that weren't in the original.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, the Holy Schnikes.
Oh man, gosh,
love
what a
it.
good movie.
So I have
Good
to go home and
pick.
watch that.
Good pick.
All right, next one for Jeff.
Next movie for me was Dazed and Confused. So we just went from like what 2G, maybe PG-13 and right
PG-13
into
movies.
R.
Yeah, you're right. We did.
We just jumped right in there, made ourselves known.
Oh boy.
So if you're not familiar with Dazed and Confused, which I'm sure not everybody is, because it wasn't the biggest movie in the world. And just before I really dive into this, I mean, we were kind of talking about this earlier today. So the movies that I picked, they're not necessarily all of them are big blockbuster movies and stuff. To me, some of them were kind of cult movies that they ended up getting a following after the
Yes.
fact. And so all the movies that I picked, like I said, I think I had like 30 or 40 out of the gate. And I was like, okay, I think what I need to do is I need to do the ones that stood out to me the most that since I'm a big moviegoer, but I'm not that moviegoer that likes to watch the same movie over and over and over again. And so I was like, the only few movies that I would probably like to go and see over and over again, those are the ones I'm going to pick. And so Dazed and Confused came in a period of time in my life. I think I was a senior in high school when that movie came out.
93.
Or no, I wasn't a senior. I was a senior in 96. So it was out on VHS at the time, and so when I was a senior, I think that's when because it didn't do well in the movie theaters, and so like I said, it kind of took off through like Blockbuster, like the VHS, it was just like this cult following kind of blew up, and so when I was a senior, that's when it was like new to us, and oh man, so like for me it was big because I was a big car guy,
Okay,
and all my buddies and everything, we all had the old muscle cars, old Camaros and Chevelles and Monte Carlos and you name it, and we all had all these cool cars, and so it was like, hey, we're kind of these guys, but we're just in the 90s, we're wearing flannel with butt cut haircuts, but anyways, it kind of reigned true of just like this tight knit group of guys, and I was like, man, that's us 20 years ago, and so man, we just fell in love with it, as like a group of friends, and so we watched it all the time, because where I grew up there wasn't a ton of stuff to do besides drive around, and so that's what they were known for, was going out to keggers out in the middle of nowhere, which I did all the time, and go driving around talking about your cars, which I did all the time, and so it was just a fun movie that it was just like, oh man, and plus the soundtrack was incredible. Anyways, I'll get into that in just a second. So basically, this movie came out June 4th, 1993. It was written and directed by Richard Linklater. And so basically the premise of the movie is it's just these high school seniors, and
Not were they seniors or they were juniors going to be seniors?
Juniors going into seniors. There's a couple seniors that were in the movie as well, and then there was like, I think, freshmen. Yes. Obviously, there's a lot of freshmen in the movie as well, and so it's just about that whole like kind of jive of what was going on in high school. Of just like, I mean, you had the bully, you had the jock, you had the guy who graduated who's still hanging out with all the kids from high school. Just all these different dichotomy of people.
It was 1976, right? You already mentioned that.
It was 1976, May of 1976, and so basically the summer right after school. Last day of school, and it shows the different tracks of like some freshmen or eighth graders that are turning into freshmen. You got your juniors are turning into seniors. You got some senior that got held back.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, and then you got a couple guys that graduated a couple years ago, and they're still hanging out with all these guys. So, but again, all of that, where I grew up, it reigned true in the 90s. Yeah. I mean, I hung out with dudes who were like, I remember you from 3 years ago, and you're still hanging out with high school kids. Cool, Why
are you still coming to these parties?
That's right. It was like, but they were like the king at the party,
One of my picks has the same kind of dichotomy, but we'll get to that.
That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, it started Jason London, who played Randall Pink Floyd, and his brother, I can't remember his name now. Gosh darn it.
He's younger. No.
He's got a twin. They're twins, I think.
Is it?
Jason London, and then oh my gosh, it's completely skipping my brain. Maybe they're not twins, but he's got a brother that looks just like him, and he's been in a bunch of stuff too. But anyways, so Jason London, Randall Pink Floyd, Sean Andrews played Pickford, Joey Lorden Adams. Sorry.
Yeah, Simone.
She was
She was
gorgeous.
big in the 90s.
Yeah, she was big in the 90s.
She was in Chasing Amy.
Yes, Chasing Amy. Oh man, she was
has that
awesome.
voice.
She has that amazing voice.
yeah.
I love it.
She was in Liar Liar.
That's right. She was in Liar.
Yeah.
But then Mila, is it Maya or Mila?
Mila
Jovovich. Yep. She played Michelle, and then Rory Cochrane was Slater, who did really big in the 90s, and he fell away for a while, and now he's really big again. Adam Goldberg, who was in Saving Private Ryan and a bunch of other movies, so he played Mike, the nerd. Wiley Wiggins, he was kind of a big character in it. Mitch, I haven't seen him in anything since. He was the main freshman in the movie.
Oh, no, yeah, I looked at his IMDb.
Yeah,
he
just
did
kind of
like
fell
8
off.
or 9 movies, and then
That was it. Yeah, he picked a different route. Cole Hauser, he played Benny. He's been in a bunch of movies. He was in the, I almost said Back to the Future, but he was in, oh my gosh, Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Fast and Furious 2 or 3. I think it was 2. Yeah, it was 2. So he was in Fast and Furious 2. He's been in a bunch of other different things, a bunch of sitcoms and stuff like that too. And then obviously the two biggest dudes in the movie, Ben Affleck and then Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
So for both of these guys, that was their first movie. I don't know if I didn't know.
I knew it was for Ben, but I didn't know it was for Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, it was his first movie. So he really attributes a lot of his today, like he knows, like if it wasn't for that movie, I probably wouldn't be here today, And so here's some kind of fun facts or whatever. So basically, Matthew McConaughey's character, his name was Wooderson, and Matthew McConaughey portrayed his older brother to come up with that character as Wooderson.
Really?
So he like mimicked his older brother to come up with that character. He's like, yeah, man, that was my older brother. He's like to the T.
That's awesome.
So it was so cool that he was like, oh, I can just go back to my bank of watching my brother, and this is who he is. It was such an iconic character in that movie.
Oh, yeah. All right.
That's right. But yeah, but kind of talking about how it meant so much to him. So he's got a production company named called JKL Productions, and that actually comes from his Wooderson's life credo in the movie, which stands for "Just Keep Living." So he would say that, "Just keep living." LIVIN, live in, So
this takes place in Texas, so that's why they have the accent.
That's right. So, but anyways, some other fun facts. It was 1/6 of the budget. It was a $6.9 million budget and only grossed 7.9, by the way. So, but again, I think since then it's gone into the 9 figures.
Yeah, that probably doesn't include VHS sales and rentals.
It's in the 9-figure realm now. So, but anyways, but 1/6 of the budget was only spent on acquiring rights for the songs on the soundtrack, which was fantastic soundtrack.
When you picked that and I watched it, I was like, I know why he likes this because of the soundtrack.
Soundtrack is so
in the cars,
good. Oh my gosh, so good. But anyways, you got Alice Cooper on there. I mean, you name it. Everybody.
School's Out for Summer played when they were leaving school for the last day. I was like, couldn't have picked a better song.
And Slow Ride. And, so many.
They wanted getting Aerosmith tickets. They were talking about that.
Yep, Aerosmith, exactly. So, but another kind of cool thing was early on in the filming, Matthew McConaughey's father actually died in real life, and so they actually stopped filming so he could go and help arrange and attend his father's own funeral.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, and so that was the thing. Like it was a big thing. I saw, and I remember him talking about this. It was on he was getting a Grammy or something like that, and he was talking about at this award show about how basically this movie started everything for him, and his dad was like, "Just go chase your dreams," kind of a thing. And he's like, "My dad never actually got to see this," and so that's what he's going back to. So his dad saw that, hey, I finally got into a movie. Like, how crushing would that be? That
he didn't get
his
to
dad
see.
Supported him so well, and then hey, I got a movie, and then he passes away. Like he didn't even get to see it. So either way, but anyways, some other fun things. So they said the word "man" a lot in the movie, and it was actually said 203 times in the movie.
Oh gosh,
that's so many times.
That is a lot.
It is,
man.
And then obviously all the seniors had the wooden paddles. They were all actually custom designed by the stars themselves, which I thought was really cool. And it says check for one that says 17 years, and that was noting the year difference between the movie's release and the actual setting.
Date,
so
76. It came out in 93.
Exactly. Yep. So I thought that was kind of cool. But So this is kind of funny. So while filming in Texas, it's Mia, is that right? Or Maya? Mila Jovovich. I'm always gonna hack that, but because I always think of Mia Kunis or whatever. I always think of her. But anyways, so she was. Her and Sean Andrews, who played Kevin Pickford in the movie, they actually went and eloped in Las Vegas while filming the movie. And so,
and she was,
but she's only 16. Yeah, she's only 16 or 17 or whatever. And so the mom was like, nope. And so she got it annulled or whatever. So I thought that was kind of crazy. But other cool things. So Vince Vaughn actually auditioned for Benny's part of the movie, but he was turned down because the director or whatever decided that he was just too close to Ben Affleck. Like they looked too much alike.
Okay.
And so he was like, yep, I can't have Vince Vaughn in this movie, which I thought would have been actually kind of cool. Nothing against like Cole Hauser or whatever, but he was great. He played the redheaded guy and everything. He was great, but that would have been kind of cool because I'm a big Vince Vaughn guy. I like Vince Vaughn a lot. Yeah. And like just how quippy he is with stuff.
He's very quippy.
I think it would have been really good in that movie. So, but again, but Cole Hauser did a fantastic job. He kind of played like that. I'm not a jock, but yet I have this magnetism that the younger kind of kids are drawn into and stuff like that. He kind of had that cool character. So I think he did a really, really good job. But the original wooden paddles from the movie can still be seen at the Top Notch Burger restaurant that's down there.
They're filmed at, yep.
Exactly. So that was kind of cool. But then like my favorite quotes, there's so many quotes in that movie too, but my favorite quotes, obviously Wooderson, Matthew McConaughey, he's got the most of them, but obviously we just said the all right, he had that one. And then the other one that's most famous that he says, that's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age.
You're like, ew.
It's like, I know, it's like as a kid, I was like, that's so cool.
That's true.
And now I'm like 40, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
that's messed up,
Dad,
dude.
You're like, oh gosh.
Like what a creep. But then like Slater in that movie, man, he was like my favorite. Like he was the guy with the long hair and had the hat on backwards.
He's in Empire Records.
Yes, he was in Empire Records, right? Yeah, that was that.
He's hilarious.
That's Roy Cochran. But yeah, he was so funny. But like one of my favorite scenes because he's just always just baked out of his mind.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorites.
He smoked a lot of pot in that movie.
A lot of pot in that movie. But he was like, behind every good man, there's a woman, and that woman was Martha Washington, man. And every day George would come home, she would have a big fat bull waiting for him, man. When he came in the door, man, she was a hip lady, man. Like I love that line so much. And he would just like, he's just like out at this party, and he's like stoned out of his mind talking about like George
Martha Washington.
And then he was like, there's like another scene like a little bit later on. He comes back, he's like, yeah, George Washington's on the dollar bill, man. There's like aliens and stuff on the dollar bill. And you know what? The dollar bill's green, man.
Yeah. he loves his weed. He's giving, some guy was making a bong and he's like giving him advice.
That's right.
This isn't airtight.
That's
but you got to get this sealed up.
Get this sealed up. That's right. It's so good.
The whole movie, he's just talking about pot.
That's exactly.
The whole movie.
Yeah. How you doing, Slater? Fixing to be a lot better, man. Like he's like always just about partying and getting stoned. It was so good.
And everybody has a friend in high school that was that guy.
Totally. Yep, I know exactly who my Slater was.
But
exactly. But then like another scene that I thought was great was like the kind of the nerdy group of kids were driving in the car, and what's his name? Adam Goldberg's character or whatever. His buddy says like, well, what are you talking about? You're not going to go to law school? What are you going to do then? And then Goldberg's character goes, I want to dance. Like, it's like he had this epitome, or like this epiphany. Like I don't want to go to law school. I want to dance. And they're like, what? Like, oh my gosh,
they just look at each other like, what are you talking? Right. You never said anything.
I don't know if you knew this either, but the redheaded girl that was driving the car, that's what those nerdy. Mm-hmm. She was like one of the nerdy people, but that's actually. Giovanna Ribisi's sister in real life, and she's married to Beck.
Really?
The rock star.
Rock star.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of cool. But anyways.
Small world.
Yeah. I knew that, but I didn't realize that she was in this movie. So anyways, I thought that was funny. But then like, obviously you got to quote O'Banion, which is Ben Affleck, but he had such a great scene where he's playing pool in the pool house, and he's sitting there like hitting these shots without looking at the ball and everything. He's like, you're an embarrassment to the game of pool, and you should be glad I even let you play at my table. And he's like schooling these kids. Like, oh man, like it blew my mind. Like, because I watched that movie so many times, and Ben Affleck nobody knew who the heck he
No,
was.
like,
you know?
who's this guy?
And then now you see him, and he's like Batman. He's all these other things, and it's like just thinking back that he was just kind of this like kind of dorky looking, you know, bully, you know, and now he's like this huge dude who like was married to Jennifer. What was her name?
Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner, yeah. And then J-Lo even like it was
that's
like
right,
yeah,
yeah.
remember like dude he went up like
Benifer.
Benifer, that's right. So way to go, O'Banion. Yeah, but I just love it though too because like they portrayed his character so perfectly.
He did, yes.
Because like he had that bully, he had the like I'm kind of dumb too kind of thing, but I'm still trying to fit in.
Yes.
But like even his car was perfect. It was like you knew that he was trying to fit in. Probably didn't come from a lot of money. You know, like I think he had like a Dodge Duster, I think, in the car that was kind of built up, but it was primer. You know, it wasn't painted. He had like an aftermarket hood on and all this other stuff. But it's like that was that guy back then.
He's this guy that's trying to fit in so hard. He thought by being a bully and no one would figure out that I'm really uncomfortable.
Right.
In doing this.
Such a good, I mean, like just the way that they developed those characters was just like so
and
on
the
point.
hazing ritual with the paddles. Just so I guess as a listener, if you don't know, they're hazing these freshmen with these paddles by whacking them on the butt with these paddles. They chase these little freshmen around and just totally terrified of these seniors.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's not like just at the school. I mean, it's all over town. I mean, they're chasing after them through neighborhoods and stuff. Like
the
flying
stuff
through
they're
yards
doing is like
everything.
you would never. Well, you might in Fremont, Nebraska, you might be able to get away with that.
We kind of did some stuff. Let me tell you. We did some stuff.
I grew up in a small town too, and you could probably get away with that back then.
We actually kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here. So side story about me and my exciting life. So when I went to college for the first time, I went to a little town over here just west of Lincoln called Milford. And so we went out there, and Milford is like nothing to do. I mean, you had the pizza kitchen to eat at, and that was it. You know, there's nothing. Right, exactly. So there was nothing to do there. And so I won't admit to anything, but there's a lot of these things going on. But one thing that we did do was we started a rumor in town that there is a gang fight that was going to go down. We were just joking around. We were college kids, you know. And so back in those days, this was like 97, 98, you know, like hip hop and stuff was really big, and like Tupac. And also, so we said there was like this West Side versus East Side gang fight that's going to go downtown. And people were like believing it. They're like, what's going on? You know, well, we started like kind of interjecting that there's this group of kids in the college. We were the East Side gang, and these guys were the West Side gang, and all this other stuff. And we would like shove each other in the hallways and stuff and act like we're all best friends, you know. But people were like freaked out, like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be a gang fight. But the funny thing was, it's like just like 6 months prior, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a huge drug bust that happened in Milford, and like they found like this basically drug lord of a kid who was like 20 some years old going to college at Milford, and they went and raided his apartment, and they arrested him at Milford at the college I went to, and they arrested some high school kids. I mean, this dude had like millions of dollars of pot and all this other stuff, and it was a huge deal. It was on CNN and everything. But so here we are 6 months later talking about this gang fight, and everybody's like, yeah, I believe it. I mean, we just saw some stuff go down, you know. So we're talking about this, and long story short, what we ended up doing is there's this big fight that's going to go down. Everybody go in your houses, lock your doors and everything. And at 7 p.m., this fight's going down. And basically what it was is we had a fight, but it was a water balloon fight. And so we had all of our buddies, we had those big, huge Tupperware garbage cans full of water balloons, and we're all in the back of these pickups. And we're just driving all over town, like going through people's yards, throwing water balloons at each other and stuff. We're running everywhere. We're chasing each other in cars and everything. And like the cops are just like, have fun, be careful. Like they didn't care. They're like, whatever. It was no big deal.
You're standing in the back of a pickup, and you're like,
we're doing like 50 mile an hour.
Just like in the movie, they were doing that.
Going through people's yards. They're, those kids again, you know, like nobody cared. Like they're like, they're having fun, you know. It was like no big deal, man. It was a blast. It was so much fun.
You almost created this urban legend.
Yep,
the fight
I
of
bet
97.
I bet we did. There's probably a couple of people like, oh yeah, I remember that, you know. But
it went down. Somebody died.
That's right. Little Jimmy was killed. No. Oh man, it was great.
Oh, good
it was
times.
Fun. It was
I
fun.
love these day in a life movies because that's basically what it was.
That's exactly what it was.
Just a 24-hour period.
Yep.
That's what these kids did, and it's just so relatable. If you
Totally.
even now, maybe not now, but even you still had the whole crux of the movie is like you have your stoner dude, you have your jock dude, and everybody, no matter what time frame it is, can relate to. Oh yeah, I knew this. I knew this.
Or I was that guy, or I was this guy, exactly. And that's the thing. Like even, like I went to parties early in life, I was like 14, 15 and stuff, which I shouldn't have been doing. Kids, please do not do this. But I remember being the freshman going to parties and stuff and seeing my older brother and stuff, and all that's played out in this movie. And so, but then I remember being the jock at the party, and I remember hanging out with the stoner. I remember hanging out with this guy, and so it was like all of those things were so relatable. And like that's, I say that all the time nowadays. It's like that's what makes comedians good. That's what makes music good. It's all about relatability. Sure. And so if you can have a movie that like sucks you in where you're like, I feel like I'm a part of this, it's going to knock it out. And that's what I'm saying. So if you've never watched this and you kind of did some fun things like that back in the day, watch this movie. It's really, really good. There's a little bit of language and stuff.
There's a lot of language, but
man, it's a good movie.
It's kind of high school.
That's
whether you like it or not.
Was.
But you may not be able to relate to everything in it, but you will definitely latch on to a character like, oh yeah, I know who that guy is.
I know that guy.
And you'll like the movie just because I like that character.
That's right. So anyways, cool. I think I beat this to death.
Yeah.
you can obviously tell it was a good. I had paddled it. There you go. Very well played.
When I first watched it, I saw these paddles, like, what are they making these for? And then I figured out later, it's a hazing thing.
That's right.
I was like, ooh, yeah. Yep. We had some hazing, but it wasn't like, not that severe.
We had some pretty bad hazing too, but it wasn't very violent where we were hitting anybody or nothing.
No. And then I like to, last thing, I guess, they did the hazing of the freshman girls too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, and I kind of remember that. The girls had kind of their hazing, the guys had theirs, and I was like, you wouldn't get away with that nowadays, but back then it was real.
That's how it was.
If you were a freshman, you were running pretty scared.
That's
sometimes.
Right. You sure were. Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, my pick is same year, December 25th, 1993, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. I didn't realize it came out on Christmas, but I didn't watch it at the theaters, but so this is one of the first Batman, I think it is the first Batman animated movie based upon the animated series at the time that came out. And Bruce Timm was the director who did, I'll name the stuff that he did, and everybody, I guarantee you'll know you watched one of these. They had, of course, the Batman animated series that he directed, Superman animated series in the 90s, He-Man, She-Ra, G.I. Joe, Justice League. I mean, that guy, all of those right there, everybody knows. Watched one of those shows or all of those shows. And he was just iconic for the animated cartoons in the 80s and 90s, especially the 90s. I think he really hit his stride. His first cartoon, though, was a Conan-style character named Black Star.
Yes.
I've never watched it.
You never watched Black Star?
I've never watched it, but when I saw pictures of it, I was like, oh, okay. I know what that is, but I never really sat down and watched episodes.
It was good.
And his first first comic book appearance that he did was in He-Man again with the Masters of the Universe Grizzlor. Well, it was as actually the Horde, but Grizzlor. I think that's Eddie's favorite figure, or is it yours?
It was. I don't think it's ever been one of our favorite figures.
Okay.
Grizzlor. I think it was if you were to pick somebody from the Horde, it was. I think maybe we both said that it was our favorite.
I can remember
from the
one
Horde.
of your episodes. Maybe that was your favorite Horde figure that Eddie liked.
I think it was. I think it was both of ours from the Horde that we both liked the most.
Okay.
Yeah, so check out Make Eternia Great Again and listen all about
Grizzlor and everybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
But that was 1984. Was his first comic book appearance, and then before he got into film, he got hired by Filmation. He was working full time at Kmart. Wow. Got turned down the first time, but then reapplied the next year, and he finally got into Filmation Studios and did He-Man. That's where he got his. Cool. Loved it. Got into He-Man and went from there. I guess to back up a little bit on the story, kind of the basic premises, this takes place, so an old girlfriend of Bruce Wayne's shows up again, and then they do lots of flashbacks back to when they first met. They also get into the origin of the Batman. They get into the promise that he makes to his parents that because of their murder, he's going to fight crime. But then this Andrea Belmont shows up. They fall in love. He gets into this struggle then. He's like, well, I really love her. I want to be a normal guy. And he's pleading with his dead parents in front of the portrait that, it doesn't hurt as much anymore. Can I just get out of this and not have to stick to the promise that I made. And then, of course, then it flash forwards back to modern time, and she shows up again. Of course, then all the emotions come back. And her dad was involved in a crime syndicate and got murdered by some of the other guys in the crime syndicate. And so she comes back to Gotham to avenge all the other guys in the crime syndicate that killed her dad. Oh, wow. This is kind of the whole premise of it. She takes on this Phantasm, which looks like a combination of the Grim Reaper and in the comic book they have a character called Azrael. So it's kind of a combination. She has, spoiler. The Phantasm is Andrea Belmont, and she has this kind of axe on her hand, and she goes and kills every one of the crime syndicates that were involved in the murder of her dad.
Okay.
And she uses this smoke, and they never reveal it in the story. It uses this magical smoke that makes her disappear, and so she can get away from anything. And Batman eventually figures out that this is Andrea, this is my old girlfriend. And then the last person in the syndicate that she has to kill is the Joker. And of course, you have the huge reveal at the end, or that it's the Joker is the last one left, and then the reveal that it's her, and he tries to tell her, like, no, this isn't the way. I've been in the same place you were at. This isn't the way to get your revenge on everybody by killing everybody, and they end up having to leave. So he. When they're younger, she ends up moving away, and so he kind of gets back into Batman. But then when she comes back, they end up separating again, and it's kind of the whole love story between the two.
I've never seen the movie. It sounds really good.
It's really good. It's only about 90 minutes.
Okay. Did you see it in the theater, or did you?
No, I saw this in college, VHS, Blockbuster.
Gotcha.
You had to actually rent videos physically and go get them and rewind them, and late fees if you don't return them. But let's see, what else? Mark Hamill did the Joker, which, again, iconic. Anybody that's watched the Batman animated series, but probably even more prominent, Kevin Conroy does the Batman voice, and he's been doing it for 20 years now. 9 different television series, 12 animated movies, 7 video games. No actor has ever played Batman for so long.
Kevin Conroy, is he just a voice actor? Or
yes,
is he
voice actor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, because I know that, I can't remember his name now, but the guy that played Rex from Napoleon Dynamite, he played Batman for a little bit in some animated series as well. And then he was also on, like, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And the Drew Carey Show or whatever.
Yes.
But, yeah, I guess I didn't know. I don't remember what his name is.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy is the one that's done it the longest. And he actually went to school with Christopher Reeve, because he also did the voice for Superman, Kevin Conroy did. And he also helped after 9/11, I guess, in New York, he helped do some volunteering work for cooking for the officers and firefighters. So he's a nice guy in real life. Yeah. And even on I think it was because he played the voice for Bruce Wayne and Batman, and he did the voice for Bruce Wayne's dad. And I guess there was a crazy Batman in one of the episodes, but he played all 4 and did all the voices without doing a cut.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
So he was able to switch between 4 different voices without
talented.
Cutting it.
That's
I was like,
talent
that
right there.
is talent. So there's a reason they picked him. Bruce, he went through back to the Phantasm design. He went through 20 different designs before he got to the one that he wanted. They also, I thought the story was good just because they have that struggle that Bruce has to deal with.
Right.
I want a normal life, but I made this promise. I don't want to disappoint my dead parents. And
isn't that cool?
But he's in love with this girl, and so I thought it was just a really well done movie. I think, and I've had lots of people say this, that the recent Into the Spider-Verse movie, I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to
really
so bad.
Good. And a lot of people have said up until the Spider-Verse movie, this one was the best animated comic book movie that they've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
So I remember watching the actual series. I watched a few episodes of the animated series, and I loved it. Mm-hmm. It was really, really good.
Yes.
And Mark Hamill as a Joker, oh my gosh.
Off the charts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He is so good.
My daughter, and I've told you this before, my daughter loves retro stuff, and she's actually watching all of the Batman animated series from beginning to end.
Nice.
I think she's about halfway through.
Good.
And she did try Superman, but she said, "Nah, I like the Batman one the best." And I think I agree with her. I've probably watched all of them, but it probably took me 10 years, just here and there and everywhere, because it was on for 8 years, 7 years, something like that, a long time. But the art style in the movie is almost identical to the cartoon, the TV show. They do a little bit of CGI on some of the buildings, and they do a scene. It's kind of funny. They do a scene. The Joker, by the way, is just like he is in the animated series, just off the charts wacky. And they do a scene where she kicks him in the face and knocks one of his teeth out, and there's actually blood, which is kind of unusual. But then in the next scene, they show his face and his tooth is back in, and then they cut to another scene and it's back out again. So even though that it was well done, they still had some glitches. And this one's just kind of like Dazed and Confused. It didn't do all that well in the theaters, but it really took off on VHS and DVD sales. And I think that's the case on a lot of, at least on most of my picks, and some of them were just
like I said. There's so many movies that came out, and I think that everybody was still riding that high from the 80s, so they're always trying to find that blockbuster that was just going to kill it, and at the time they were really riding that with Jim Carrey and Will Smith and Adam Sandler and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good movies that were coming out that just flew under the radar,
overshadowed by these big names.
Exactly. Yeah, because I think in the 80s it was like, oh, you hit 100 million, that's huge. In the 90s it was like, you're hitting 200 million, that's huge. So it was a big difference. And some of these movies were hitting almost 300 million. And it's like, holy smokes. So obviously, like I said, there was a lot of good movies that came out. The technology was better and everything, so they're able to kick out a lot more. But a lot of it just flew under the radar.
Well, this one in particular too suffered a little bit from the live action Batman movie, because it came out, I think, the summer before, and so maybe a little bit of Batman overload.
Yep, that could be.
Funny thing on the action figures, speaking of spoilers, they came out with the Phantasm action figure where you could take the mask off.
Oh, neat.
What came out before the movie.
Oh,
so everybody
really?
knew.
So ruin it.
Everybody knew that it was Andrea Belmont as the Phantasm.
Whoops. But that's how it was back in the day.
Well, yeah,
remember?
you had to have
the action figures to kind of help promote the movie. Yep.
You had to have them. You couldn't just whip those out in a week. You had to have them delivered. And a lot of stores, I guess, on some other podcasts I've listened to, when they worked in toy stores back in the 80s and 90s, they'd have these pallets in the back, and it was big lettering, do not open until such and such date. But all the workers would always tear into it. Oh, cool.
And then they go around and spread the word.
So funny fact. But yeah, good movie. So if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's a fun movie. It's good. Kids can watch it. It doesn't have anything, no language. It's a typical Batman movie. A little bit of violence. So cool. All right. Well, your next one.
So my next movie was, again, I think this is a little bit bigger of a movie, but I think pretty much everybody remembers it. It was The Crow. So that was done in May 13th of 1994, written by James Barr, David Stroh, and John Shirley, and directed by Alex Proyas. So basically the premise of this is that there's this, I'll just kind of read it here. So, as a poetic guitarist, Eric Draven's brought back to life by a crow a year after he and his fiancée are murdered. The crow guides him through the land of the living and leads him to his killers, knife thrower Tintin, drug addict Fun Boy, car buff T-Bird, and the unsophisticated Skank. One by one, Eric gives these thugs a taste of their own medicine. However, their leader, Top Dollar, a world-class crime lord who will dispatch his enemies with a Japanese sword and joke up about it later, will soon learn the legend of the crow and the secrets of the vigilante's invincibility. Biggest thing was, as far as starring, was Brandon Lee, who's Bruce Lee's son. He played Eric Draven. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. He played the cop Albrecht. And then Michael Wincott, he's been in a bunch of different movies as well. So he played Top Dollar, and then just kind of the henchman and stuff. Obviously, T-Bird was David Patrick Kelly. He was actually a henchman in The Warriors. Remember that movie back in the 70s? So he was a henchman in The Warriors. He's like, they go, Warriors, come out and play, eh? So he actually played T-Bird. But yeah, and then, and I didn't put it in here. I can't remember his name now, but there's another, he was like a bad cop, and he was kind of a chunky guy. He was in a bunch of movies like right away in the mid-90s and stuff, and then I'd never seen him again or whatever. But I wish I remember his name, because there's a bunch of stuff that happened with them. So first and foremost, super amazing movie, totally depicted off of the comic book. They did a fantastic job. There was a whole bunch of different people that they lined up that they wanted to play Eric Draven. The director did not want Brandon Lee because he just saw,
Really?
I forget what it was. It was like 6 months before they started casting. He saw a movie that Brandon Lee did. I can't remember what the name of the movie was, but he was like, oh, he's just going to turn it into a kung fu movie. I don't want to do that. And so they're like, well, let's go ahead and bring him in, I guess. And so he came in full costume and just nailed it.
Brandon Lee came in?
Brandon Lee did, yeah. And he was like, okay, yep, you got it.
Never mind.
Never mind. This is better than I ever thought it could be, So Brandon Lee he really dove into that part, and he like...
Because he's supposed to be a kind of a goth rocker.
Correct. Yep, exactly. And so just even in the comic books and stuff, his paint and everything just was kind of smeared and kind of dated a little bit and everything. And so I don't know if you've ever seen any of these older or the newer versions of the Crow. They've come out with there's like Crow City of Angels and all this other stuff, and like they could just never get that iconic character. The paint was always rough. It just nothing ever looked and felt right. And I think it just came down to Brandon just tried to live it. And so basically the first time that he was going to film, he came out with his face paint. Well, actually they painted it on him. He was like, no, that looks like crap. So then he completely stopped filming. He wouldn't film that day because they couldn't get the paint right. Really? So then what he did was he was like, I'm going to go home tonight, paint myself up, and then I'll come in tomorrow with it done. And so what he did was he painted his own face, did it the way that he thought it should look. He slept in the face paint and then came to the shooting. And they're like, that looks amazing. What'd you do? And he's like, I slept in it. So all throughout the movie, that's what he would do is he would paint his night the face, paint his face the night before, and then he would come in and shoot it, and that's how it got that look.
Kind of rough look.
Exactly. It looked like it had been on there for a while.
A few of the scenes, it's really smooth, but as it progresses, obviously.
Well, I think what you're thinking of is a few of the scenes, they might have actually been CGI. And they did a lot of CGI in this movie because I don't know if you knew this or not, but he actually was killed in the movie. Yeah. I can kind of dive in. I think that's probably like the most notable part about this whole movie is just the whole story.
It went viral. It was like he died on set.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all sorts of rumors of like, oh, he was shot and killed right at this scene, and you can still see it. It's in the movie, and it's not true. They didn't do it. They didn't show it in the scene, but what's crazy about it, so basically the way that he was killed was there was they obviously had like cap guns or whatever, it's still a real gun. Yeah. They got there's no tip to the bullets or whatever. It just shoots the gunpowder and everything. But basically what had happened is that the day before the tech or whatever that was he was making sure that the gun worked and everything, and so one of the caps actually didn't come out all the way, so it got lodged inside of the actual chamber of the gun. And so then the next day they put the cap, the fake bullets back in. I forget what they're called. The blanks. Thank you. I keep saying caps. But so he put the blanks back in, and then when he went to fire that, he actually shot, and there was enough pressure behind that it threw that cap through the empty bullet through, and it actually shot. And actually came through the chamber and killed him. And so what's crazy about that is that the whole scene wasn't supposed to be. It was a last minute decision. The director was like, hey, you know what I think needs to happen here? I think this is what needs to happen. And so he has the guy, Fun Boy, I think that was who it was, Fun Boy, in the movie. I can't remember. But anyway, so he has the guy, the bad guy, the henchman or whatever, basically pull out a gun and shoots him and stuff, and then that was it, right? So it happened within a matter of a couple minutes. It wasn't even supposed to happen, so they're all like shocked, like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then he basically died right there. And so it screwed up that guy, that actor, so much that he was like, oh my gosh, I just killed Brandon Lee. It screwed him up that he didn't act for many years after that, and he kept telling himself, like, I'm a murderer, like I just killed Brandon Lee, and so, but Brandon Lee's mom sued the actor, sued the director, sued the production company, sued everybody. She ended up getting a settlement out of it. But I mean, it just wrecked everybody. But like the whole set was like that. I mean, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. It was cursed from the beginning, so there was like, let's see here. I think I wrote them down, but yeah, there was like a fire on the set, and like Yeah, here we go. So, so leading to a widespread belief that the film was cursed. The carpenter suffered serious burns on his upper body during the first day of filming. A manual worker had a screwdriver get embedded into his hand. An equipment truck burst into flames. A stuntman broke several ribs after falling through a roof. A rigger was horribly electrocuted. A disgruntled set sculptor went berserk and drove his car through the props room, destroying it. And a hurricane destroyed several of the sets. So it just like kept happening and happening and happening. You know, it was like it wasn't meant to be, you know, but they still pushed through and got it done. But
the actors and directors had to be just like, what's going on
right
here? And he was killed pretty late in shooting.
Yes, he was pretty. Yeah, they had about 7/8 of the movie done, and thank goodness, you know.
Yeah.
But there were still some scenes that they still had to get with them, so they ended up doing it through CGI.
I was reading it. I couldn't tell.
Right. Yeah, and there's some scenes on. I've seen it so many times. I've seen this probably 200 times.
Okay.
I can tell, you know, but if you're just watching it 1 or 2 times, you're probably not gonna be able to tell. But another crazy fact is that, for whatever reason, they ended up doing a cast of Brandon Lee's face. And then after he died, then they're like, well, we have these body doubles. Let's go ahead and make a mask of Brandon Lee and put it on it. So they tried it. And then like the body double was like, no. Like he had it on and he looked just like him. He's like, I can't do this. Because they've all been working together. You know, and all of a sudden he looks like his friend who was just killed.
It's too creepy.
Yeah, it was just way too much. So they're like, don't worry about it. We'll just CGI it. So that's what they did. But yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, so there's quite a few scenes that the CGI stuff was like, there's a scene where he's falling from the window. That was all a body actor, and then they digitally composed his face on. The scene where he's putting the makeup on for the first time, that was actually done by the double. But then the face in the broken mirror, when they show that's actually Brandon Lee. They just CGI'd his face and all those broken pieces and stuff. So, but yeah, there's other times where he's running rooftop to rooftop. They had a body double and they put his face onto that, and you know, just some other stuff. But coming back to the actual movie itself, it was fantastic, and it was such a good movie. Very well done. Lots of good, you know, liners. Brandon Lee I think that would have been the launch of his career. I think he did such a good job in that movie playing a dramatic character that actually could do action scenes and stuff like that. I really think that probably would have been the thing that blew him up, you know, and no pun intended.
No pun intended. Yeah.
But yeah, just so sad. You know, he was so young and so talented. And,
yeah, he couldn't have been more than the early 20s.
Yeah, I think he was like 25. I think I don't know for sure, but yeah. And then like obviously his dad died. You know, very
kind
similar
of a weird
way,
thing
you
too.
know,
Yeah,
on a set and everything.
That was always kind of the stigma, or the urban. Talking about urban legends, that was kind of the urban legend. He suffered the same fate as his dad. Well, that's a good action flick, kind of a revenge flick, so to speak. But yeah, I thought I just saw it yesterday, so I was new to it, and I thought the special effects were good. Again, not a lot of. Well, I mean, they had some CGI, but I couldn't see a lot of it.
Right. And yeah, for a movie that was 94, I think is what I said. Yeah, 94. I mean, it was done very well. I mean, now in today's standards, you can see that, they could make it a lot better. But actually, again, I like how they're able to play with what they had, and they made it just right. You know, like just the way that the wind was blowing and stuff, and they did it on a real scene outside and all these other things, and it wasn't CGI. And, you know, like with the wind's blowing, it was his coat and his hair and everything, you know, like
the look.
Yeah, exactly. It is like he knew how to act with the surrounding scenes around him, and it made that movie.
And the villain cutting people's eyeballs out.
Oh man,
my
that was
gosh.
crazy. That was crazy.
Oh, and that girl, his girlfriend, is just bizarre.
Yeah, she was very bizarre.
And then, of course, being a music buff, I thought you were probably more the soundtrack.
The soundtrack was amazing. Yep, absolutely. And what's kind of funny is like, and I'm sure, you know, there's probably a lot of people who have or whatever, but like I dressed up as Eric Draven, I cannot tell me how many years for Halloween.
Really?
After that movie.
Did you have the makeup and everything?
I had the makeup, I had the hair, and that was back when I had hair. But I had the whole night. I didn't have the long trench coat or whatever, but like I bought like a long black sleeve shirt and pants and army boots, and I took like electrical tape and wrapped it around. And
because he had it on his hand.
So I did it every year for probably 5-6 years.
You need to dig one of those out.
Yeah. Oh man.
Or
if I can find any pictures or something like that, I don't know.
Eric Draven. Jeff as Eric Draven.
Yeah, I did that, man. That was back when I had the hair.
That face was iconic.
Back
in the 90s.
It was, yeah.
Kind of reminds you of the Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah, it does. And what's funny about it is like even Sting, the wrestler.
Yes, the wrestler. Yes.
Yeah, he portrayed that, and it was so fun. It was like, okay, you're Sting, but you're trying to be the Crow, but you're trying to. It was just so weird. It was like you could tell. Like,
I remember
want
that.
to be that. Yeah,
I mean,
he still dresses up like that when he makes an appearance and stuff.
He
still dresses up like that.
That's kind of funny that hit for him. That look is what stuck.
Yeah.
For him, I remember seeing that. I was like, he was total knockoff of the
movie. Yeah, because in the '80s, Sting was like he kind of had the face paint like the Warrior.
Yeah, well, him and the Warrior were tag team partners.
So he had the face like the Ultimate Warrior, but then he had like the bright yellow bleach blonde flat top, you know. And then all of a sudden, boom, here he is with the long brown hair and the face paint like Crow and everything. But yeah, anyways, the movie, fantastic movie. My favorite lines, obviously, everybody said it can't rain all the time.
Yes.
That was a huge line.
Yes.
But like one of my favorite parts was just him and the cop Albrecht. They had exactly. That was such a fun banter. And like my favorite back and forth was when he's like, "Police, don't move." I said, "Don't move." And he goes, "I thought the police always said freeze." "Well, I am the police, and I say, don't move. Snow White, you move, you're dead." And I say, and then so Eric Draven says, "And I say, I'm dead, and I move."
And
he's
I
like,
move.
"What?" And
I say, "I'm dead, and I move."
Right. And then, later on, another awesome scene back and forth was when basically the Crow gets hurt. And once the Crow's hurt, then now he can get hurt. He's not invincible anymore. And so he ends up getting shot. And then the cop goes, "I thought, you were invincible." And he goes, "I was. I'm not anymore."
He just
like accepted it. I'm not anymore. It sucks. He's like, "I know it sucks. I'm not anymore." But anyways, I just love it. And then like T-Bird, that actor, so good in that movie. Oh my gosh, he plays a villain so good. The scene where it's like it clicks in his head that Eric Draven came back to life. It's like, wait a minute, I killed you. It's like it starts clicking, and then like they start showing it going back and forth in his brain of like, wait a minute, I know I killed you. I push you out the window and all this other stuff. And so he's got this scene where he's like, I knew you. He like starts kind of laughing. He's like, but wait a minute, but you ain't you can't be you. We put you through the window. There ain't no coming back. This is the really real world. There ain't no coming back. And then he just keeps saying that over and over again because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, he's going
it's
nuts.
Like it's your turn. He's like, wait a minute, you can't kill me. You're already dead.
You're already dead already.
But just that whole scene was so good by that T-Bird guy, man. He was
good casting.
Good casting. Really good casting.
Speaking of casting, they looked at River Phoenix and Christian Slater for Eric Draven.
Yes, yeah, I thought that was amazing
interesting
too. Yeah, I think they both turned it down.
They did.
Yeah, which I'm sure they're probably kicking themselves, or maybe not kicking themselves because it could have been them.
That's true. Yeah, maybe they are. Can you imagine that movie with Christian Slater or River Phoenix? I don't know.
See, I don't know, because that's what's funny about it is like I think I can't remember the actual name because they always have that, like the Crow, City of Angels, and they have the Crow, whatchamacallit, whatever. And so like the latest one, I'm not going to remember his name now, but he played the kid in Terminator 2.
Oh yeah.
I forget what his name is, but he played the Crow, and I'm pretty sure it was the latest one that came out. Okay. And so he was still kind of young in the movie. I think he was like in his 20s, when that movie came out and stuff. Not good. It was not good.
Just
not a very good movie. I think everybody tried really hard to be, Brandon Lee, and they just couldn't do it. And
there's only one Brandon Lee.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's been lots of rumors about trying to bring back the Crow and all this other stuff. And everybody's like, just let it be. Just stop trying to do this. It's like it was a big thing. Leave it alone. And it's
some
like
properties just need to
just let it be Brandon.
Let it Brandon and go on.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, my next pick is Young Guns 2, which came out in 1990, August 1st, 1990. And I actually saw this before I saw the first one. And I think between the two, I'm not a big fan of sequels, but I think the sequel, in my opinion, was better than the first one.
Yeah, it's they both have good and bad. I think that the storyline for the first one, where it builds up, I think is probably a little bit more iconic.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think it was the budget behind it, the characters, they're way more familiar and comfortable with their characters and everything. Young Guns 2, I think, probably tops it, when it comes to that series. And I'm so glad that you picked this movie, because this is one of my favorite movies of all time, because I almost picked it.
Yeah.
Because I love Young Guns so much. But yeah, go ahead.
For the listener, if you don't know, the Young Guns 2 is about Billy the Kid. And it talks about this. Young Guns 2 is about John Chisholm, who is a wealthy landowner. He's trying to buy up all the land and get rid of all the little guys. And so he pays Pat Garrett to kill Billy the Kid, because Billy the Kid kept stealing cattle from him and just causing trouble. Yeah. And so this rich guy is trying to put a bounty on Billy the Kid's head, essentially.
Yeah. And it's cool because, it was based off of a true story.
Yep, very loosely, but
very loosely. But it was cool, how much girth they were able to add to that story to make it so good, and just all the characters in that movie were so good.
His band of outlaws. So basically, the whole story is the band of outlaws trying to get away from Pat Garrett. And in the movie, the governor of Texas gives Billy the Kid a pardon. And the start of the story is Brushy Bill Roberts claimed to be Billy the Kid, which isn't actually true. There is a guy that did claim to be Billy the Kid. And so it's a flashback back to 1881. Yep. About his, and it tells his story how Pat used to be buddies with Billy the Kid, and now he's the one chasing him, trying to kill Billy the Kid. Emilio Estevez, just to give you the lineup, Emilio Estevez is Billy the Kid, the Mighty Duck Man himself. Billy the Kid, Kiefer Sutherland is Doc, Lou Diamond Phillips is Chavez, Christian Slater is Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh, and then Viggo Mortensen is John Poe. So the band primarily is Emilio Estevez, Kiefer, Lou Diamond, and Christian Slater is kind of the group. But look at that. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland, Emilio Estevez, and Lou Diamond Phillips, and Christian Slater. I mean, huge. Good. Viggo didn't get big till later, but still a good actor nonetheless. Right. The meaning, kind of the whole theme is we're pals. The meaning of the word pals. We're going to stick together through thick and thin. Right. The dynamic between Emilio Estevez and Lou Diamond Phillips and Kiefer Sutherland's great.
Oh, man.
They were in the original first one.
Yep,
so that's why they're more of a core. Christian Slater was added later. Right. But the scene where he puts the knife through Lou Diamond Phillips' arm, and then he pulls it back out. Oh, my gosh. But they did that because Lou Diamond Phillips had an accident on the set and broke his arm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I guess he was on one of the horses, and it reared up and then took off, but his foot got caught in the saddle strap and drug him across the ground. It broke his arm and bruised his ribs. And so that scene, I guess they did that on purpose so that his arm could be in a sling and not have to use it as much, was because of that.
Dedication.
Yeah, but it came out $20 million budget and made about $44 million. So it doubled.
Okay.
It doubled.
It's shocking that it only did $44 million. Yeah. I remember it being way bigger than that of a movie.
Let's go ahead and jump to it. The song "Blaze of Glory" from John Bon Jovi. I mean, that was huge. That was number one for at least a month or two, and I love the song. It was still good. Still good song. Yep. So John Bon Jovi was actually friends with the director, Joe Fusco. Okay. So that's why he picked him. Gotcha. And it was only number 3 in the U.S. I thought it was number 1.
That's crazy. There had to have been something really big to be number 2 and number 1.
I guess I have to look back at that 1993 to see what was huge. But that
crazy
song I remember was huge. I think I even probably bought the single for that.
Came out in August 1990, right?
Yeah.
That's when Vanilla Ice came out too.
Well, that's probably it. So that's probably Vanilla Ice. That's probably
of course.
The Turtles. That's right. The Turtles movie probably.
That's right. Well, it's probably Ice Ice Baby.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and then MC Hammer.
Yep.
Right around that
there's
time.
a lot of big stuff back then. So maybe we'll have to see. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
that's fun.
We'll put that in the show notes.
I'll have to check that out.
At the beginning of the movie, they had him as the old man. They wanted to recast that or have somebody else play the old man, but Emilio Estevez insisted on it. And so what he did is he dressed up. He hired a company to dress him up like an old man, and then he went out amongst the crew as an old man, and nobody knew it was him. Nice. And so they said, okay, I guess you can do that.
You can do it. You can play it. He's good, man. He's talented.
So the escape from jail, the scene in there when he shouts out, "Hello, Bob," and then just shoots him, that actually happened in real life. Billy the Kid, when he shot Bob, he actually said that. And then Jose Chavez, he actually didn't die like in the movie. He lived until 1923. Oh, the affidavits. Okay, so Brushy Bill Roberts, who claimed to be Billy the Kid, had several signed affidavits from people that said, no, this is the guy. This is Billy the Kid. So he had several people on record saying that he was who he says he was, but they never did.
Wouldn't that be nuts if it actually was him?
I know.
What year did he die then?
I
thought he lived. Oh man, what was it?
This was the Brushy Bill Roberts, who claimed to be Billy the Kid. It was 1947.
That's what I was going to say. So
1947. Right. But I think supposedly he died in, around this same time, 1881, 1882. Right. So they don't know all the details on it for sure. But it goes back to kind of that urban legend.
Right.
So
everything in me wants to, that was him.
Yeah.
Everything in me hopes it was.
Yeah, hopes you know. There's even where he died at. There's a big, it's obviously a tourist trap kind of now. That this is where Billy the Kid is buried and all that cool stuff. But just a fun story about these group of buddies trying to get away from the law, and Billy's just, I'll make you famous.
That's right.
That's the big famous line from that. Make you famous.
Yeah, man. It was cool about that movie because like my dad, he watched Westerns all the time, and it was a modern Western. And so like, I didn't like Westerns. I thought they were really old and cheesy, and, I get it now. Now I'm a grown adult and I can watch them. I'm like, oh, that was a really good flick, but as a kid, I'm like, this is dumb. Can we put on Star Wars, Dad?
Yeah.
Like, come on, but I remember watching that movie and I was like, oh wait, the Wild West is actually kind of cool. And so like me and my best friend at the time, we went down to the library and we started looking up information about Billy the Kid and Doc Holliday and all these other people. And, we found like the old Wanted poster and we like printed it out. And like my friend had a thing above the attic in the garage that was like a little loft. And so we like turned that in like our little clubhouse and stuff. And so we had all this like Wanted posters and all this like old Wild West stuff up there. And we would burn candles up there and everything and like talk about, like we were back in those days, and stuff. And
my whiskey.
Exactly. Where's my whiskey at? But yeah, like, and I just remember playing that John Bon Jovi song.
Oh yeah,
all the
I
time.
Played it over and over and over.
It was always on MTV, and like, oh man, just the music video of it and stuff, so iconic and everything, and they linked them so well together with the movie and stuff. So good, but I mean, that was like the height of like. Like him and Kiefer, like Emilio Estevez and Kiefer Sutherland, like Lou Diamond Phillips. I mean, those guys were so big at that time. It was like having those three guys all together. Like, oh my gosh, even Young Guns 1. Having
his brother, Emilio's brother.
Yeah. Gosh darn it,
I can't remember his name.
Tiger Blood. What's his name? Anyways,
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. There you go. Yep. I was like Martin Sheen's his dad, right?
Yeah.
But even with Young Guns 1, it was. Lots of big names and stuff, but they weren't quite as big, But then, like I said, when Young Guns 2 came out, they were so, like, they'd grown into their characters enough that I think that's what made Young Guns 2 so much better. I don't think it had anything to do with the budget. I don't think it had anything to do with the storyline. I think it was just, like, those characters really made it.
They just meshed well.
Yeah, they did.
And then, like you said, you had the iconic song with it. That's what is it? I never drew first, but I drew first blood.
Yes.
I mean, the whole song just clicked. So that was always good. The song I think really sold it. So I think they put a little more effort into it. Or not, I don't know, lack of word effort, but you just had already that. And their names, those names that we just said, those three names had become bigger.
Yes.
And I think that probably drew a little bit more.
I think so too. And
but you're right. It was a modern Western that just seemed to click more than watching an old John Wayne movie.
Yes, totally. And I think that it kind of set the precedent for a lot of Westerns that have been done since then.
Yeah, you had Tombstone that came out later.
Yep. And it was
a good one.
Very much filmed in the same fashion, where they zone in on certain characters and stuff like that. It's shot completely different. It's not shot from like an outsider's perspective. It's like you're a part of it. Oh man, what a good movie.
The drama between Pat and Billy, I just thought was really good. He's like, you were with us and you're here shooting me. Yep. And you almost, even though Billy the Kid was actually a horrible person, you kind of feel for the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and like Emilio Estevez is such a good job, portraying that character because like he just had such a mischievous, kind of laugh
kind of the
and
face
like,
and
exactly. Just everything was so perfect for that role, and he crushed it. He did such a good job.
Oh, I love that. That was a good movie.
Yeah,
Again,
like,
it's one of those that you can
But you're right. That
you
scene
just
where he's
grab
like,
it and watch
"Hello,
it.
Bob." Boom.
Boom. Hello, Bob. Make
It's
you
like,
famous.
Make You Famous, yep.
Make you famous.
And
Just
then, like, I think it's the first one, isn't it, when they're trapped in the house and stuff, and they're yeah. So in that scene, I love it where the shootout, right? And then he's like, "Hey, who is it? Like the mayor?" He's like, "Hey, mayor," or something like that. He's like, "I heard you got so and so out there." He's like, "Yep, sure do." And he's like, "Boom, not anymore,
not anymore." Yeah, he just has those scenes. Yeah,
it was so good.
It just shows he's a cold-blooded killer.
Right. Yep.
And then I think it was in number 2 where they get high off the opium.
Yes.
She's my flower.
That's right. She's my flower.
Do you see the size of that chicken?
That's right. Oh my gosh. When that dude's going off, like, you guys see the size of that chicken?
Oh man. So they were able to mix kind of the drama, but have some humor and make it a Western. It was like they just kind of amalgamated it all together and it came out
a
well.
bunch of heartthrob guys and everything and stick them all together and man.
Yeah.
Fun times.
They went from R to PG, so I think maybe that might have something to do with the popularity. Going from an R movie to a PG movie might be some of it. Last quick thing was the director, John Fusco, just kind of a cool thing. He dropped out of high school at 16. Then in his early 20s, he went back and got his GED and got back into art school.
Wow.
So he's kind of a messed up, but then got back on track and became a famous director.
That was that. So incredible. Well,
cool.
Good pick, man. That was a great movie.
Well, your next pick?
Okay, so my next pick was the movie Face Off. Face Off was came out June 27, 1997, written by Mike Werb and Michael Collery, and directed by John Woo, who is very well known. Mm-hmm. Starred John Travolta as Sean Archer and Nicolas Cage as Castor Troy. Gina Gershon was Sasha Hassler, and Alessandro Nivola was Pollux Troy. I don't really know who that Alessandro guy is. I don't know if he was in anything else, but he did a great job as
Rolls
Pollux
off the
Troy.
tongue well.
Yeah, but his character was perfect, though. It was really good. But anyways, so John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, and Gina Gershon, great characters in the show. If you don't know the movie, basically, which you should, oh my goodness, you need to watch this movie. I love it so much. So basically what it is, the premise of this movie is that Nicolas Cage's character is this notorious bad guy. And then John Travolta's character is this notorious good guy. And so Sean Archer, John Travolta is the cop, and he's trying to always catch Nicolas Cage's character, Castor Troy, and they hate each other, and they like try to kill each other all throughout their careers and everything. And so basically, Castor Troy ends up killing Sean Archer's little girl on a merry-go-round. And so then it's like Sean Archer is going to do whatever he can then to kill Castor Troy. He doesn't even want to arrest him anymore. He just wants him dead. And he's trying to be the good cop, trying to bring him in and stuff as well, but he really wants him to die, and also because it just ruined him on the inside, having his daughter die right in front of him and everything. So anyways, so Castor Troy is this big drug lord boss, blah, blah, blah. And played very well by Nick Cage. And then Sean Archer's character, or John Travolta's character, Sean Archer, he tries to catch him and stuff in this big blowout scene at the beginning of the movie, and they think that they kill Castor Troy, and they're like, thank goodness, he's dead. And then it comes to find out that no, he didn't actually die, and they're keeping him alive. And so John Travolta's like, what are you doing? Keeping him alive. I want him dead. Like, why are you keeping him alive? And they're like, well, we have an idea. We have this new technology now where we can actually take the face off of a human being and transfer it over to somebody else. So we want you, since you know him and studied him so well for so many years, we want to take your face off, put his face on you. We'll change like the hair on your arms and all this other stuff to make you like this. We can put this little microchip in your throat to make you sound just like him and everything. We need you to act like Castor Troy, go into his whole big drug ring, find out all this information about everybody, so then we can get in there and just make all these arrests and basically finally kill this whole thing off. And so he reluctantly does it, but they're like, well, the only way that you're going to be able to do this is if you have to like completely commit. You can't tell your wife, you can't tell anybody, and you're going to be Castor Troy. So just tell your wife that you're going off on this thing and you're going to be back in a couple of weeks. It should only take about 2 weeks tops and stuff, and then you'll be back. So he commits to it, goes in, gets the surgery done, and then he wakes up and boom, he's his worst enemy. And like just that scene where he's like, he sounds like him and everything. He's like, what the heck? And he's freaking out about it and everything. But anyway, so he gets into it. Now all of a sudden, Nicolas Cage, the real Nicolas Cage, is the good guy.
Good guy.
So he starts off as this bad guy. Now he's the good guy in the movie, playing a bad guy. And then, so what ends up happening is while Sean Archer, now as Castor Troy, is in the midst of all this stuff, then the real Castor Troy wakes up without a face. So then he ends up like calling in his thugs. They come in, they threaten this doctor then to take Sean Archer's face and put it on his face, do the exact same thing, turns him into that, and then they kill the scientist or the doctor, so now nobody can replicate
Reverse it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now he's the good cop, but he's a bad guy, and the good cop is actually the bad guy. And oh my gosh! And so then it's like boom, he's Castor Troy is in jail, and nobody there knows that he's actually a cop, besides these two detectives or whatever. Well, he ended up killing those two detectives as well. So now he's like, I'm actually stuck in jail. And so Sean Archer, who's actually Castor Troy, comes and basically is like, hey, you're on this island thing out in the middle of nowhere as this, jail or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody knows that you're actually me.
That's like an oil rig, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like an oil rig. Yeah, it was like a hidden jail and an oil rig. And so basically he's just trapped. He's like, I'm here forever. So he's like, I have to break out of jail and figure out how to get back to land and get this all straightened out, And so in the midst of it all, like Nicolas Cage's character is the good guy now, and then John Travolta is the bad guy, and he's going home and he's sleeping with his wife, and he's putting moves on his daughter and all this other stuff, and it's just really bizarre. Weird. But then they so sure enough, Nicolas Cage now, escapes and he comes back to land, and they end up, long story short, they end up having a big, huge battle scene and everything. And, don't want to spoil the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it, but we
already warned him.
Right. So then, Nicolas Cage ends up killing, John Travolta, in a pretty epic scene. And, it just ends up screaming, like he screams like in his face. I can't remember exactly what he says verbatim, but he's like screaming in his face. He's like, "Die, please die!" Like I've been trying to kill you for so long. Now you're
for years.
Me. Exactly. Yeah. And so, anyways, long story short, after all that's done, they end up believing him because he's able to say all these like things to his wife that only she would know. He's able to kind of push on his throat to make his voice go back to normal and all this other stuff. And so they end up believing him. So they find another doctor who's able to do it, and they put them all back to normal and stuff like that. So it all wraps up with a pretty bow at the end. But the thing that I love about this movie so much is that, first off, huge Nick Cage fan, huge John Travolta fan, and to have those two guys be one good guy, one bad guy, and then flip in the middle of the movie, incredible. Like, obviously everybody knows John Travolta plays a great good guy, and everybody knows that Nick Cage can do whatever. I mean, he can do a bad guy, crazy guy, good guy, whatever. But to see them both flip flop like that, and like, oh man, it's just so good. I'm sorry, I can go on and on.
How they're able to do it? It's an action flick.
It is, yeah, very much, yeah. Lots of explosions and guns and
car chases, boat chases.
Exactly.
Helicopter chase, because I think he's trying to take off with the plane and uses the helicopter to keep the plane from taking off.
Exactly.
But
yes.
Yeah, I saw the one scene because I haven't seen the whole movie, but the scene where the girlfriend or his daughter and the boyfriend are in the car.
Yes.
And he comes out there and beats him up.
Yeah, kicks the crap out of him. Exactly. Yeah. That was kind of cool, but it was what was neat about that, and I'm glad that you bring that up, is that Nick Cage, so Castor Troy was now Sean Archer as the cop, and he's starting to kind of have feelings for the family. He's never had a family before. And well, he did have a family, but his son died. And so he's kind of missing that feeling of what could have been a family. Now he's just a drug addict, and all this other stuff. So he's kind of like, hey, I kind of like the white picket fence thing a little bit. And so instead of like being a weirdo kind of hitting on his own daughter kind of a thing, now he's trying to stick up for her and give her advice about creeps and all this other stuff. So it's kind of cool to see him kind of soften up, and then to see, the other guy kind of get hardened by it all and everything. And man, they have the most epic battle scene where they're like, they're in this big shoot 'em up scene going after each other, and they're killing cops, and so now all of a sudden Castor Troy is not killing the cops, he's shooting them in the legs and everything. He's like, gosh darn it, Bob, like he knows the cops and everything, they're like looking at him like, how do you know who we are, and all of a sudden he's got this heart. But anyways, so there's this scene, I don't know if you've seen this when you're going through the videos, but there's a scene where they're both behind a wall and they know that they're both there.
Yes.
And they're like yelling stuff back and forth at each other. And then they turn around and it's a mirror. Yep. And so it's like, so it's like a face-off. You're like, oh, man,
little face-off.
So cool. So cool. But anyway, so cool things about it. So obviously it had an $80 million budget, which is incredible.
Well, yeah, half that went to those two characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Actors.
And then so it grossed only $128 million, which is pretty good, but considering they spent $80 million. But originally Nick Cage turned down the role. He said that he basically had a lack of interest in playing a villain, but once he found out that he would actually be a villain turning into a hero for the majority of the film, then he jumped all over it. He thought that was really cool. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, they spent about 2 weeks together before filming to learn each other, figure out each other's mannerisms and all this other stuff. And then they decided to kind of pick specific gestures and vocal cadences and stuff for each character so that way they could be mimicked. It was originally supposed to be, this is crazy, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone were supposed to be the two characters. I don't think it would have went off because how in the world, because I've never seen Arnold Schwarzenegger talk without Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how in the heck is Sylvester Stallone supposed to do that?
That wouldn't. It'd be cool to see those two like
Right.
that, but I don't think it would work.
Yeah,
Not with this
I don't
script.
think so. I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of people. I'm just thinking like the real life version of it, because it's not like obviously Sylvester Stallone will have to mimic his voice, because actually Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the character, but it's just like in real life, I don't think that anybody could mimic that guy so so I don't think it would have worked, but when John Woo was brought in to direct, then that's when he decided that John Travolta and Nicolas Cage would be more suited for the role. So, but other actors that they were thinking about doing outside of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone was Harrison Ford and Michael Douglas. Those two were the first ones that they thought about doing it. So when they were making the film, or when they wrote the film, that's who they're thinking about doing.
Okay, that's what they had in mind.
They brought Michael Douglas in way early. They had him in on the lines and all this other stuff, and then ultimately it just kind of fizzled out. They also thought about having Bruce Willis and Alec Baldwin.
Okay.
And that would have been kind of good.
I think that might have been able to work.
Yep, I think so. But then my favorite was Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Could you imagine having those two guys?
Yeah, that actually might
such
work.
an iconic duo back then. But yeah, then like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal, they thought about having those two guys as well. So, but again, I think that could have worked, but I think that having it was an action film, but it was also much more of a drama that I think that they picked the right two guys to make that movie pop off the way that it did.
I think so. You look at some of these possible cast people for other films, but a couple of those, you
could have
might
done it
have
right.
been okay.
It could have done it right. And it might
other
even
than
been
the
even
Sylvester
better.
Stallone and all
I
that
don't
one.
think that would have been
but
all right.
But Bruce Willis and was it the other one?
Alec Baldwin.
I think that might have been okay. And then the Pacino
and De Niro
just would have been just because two iconic.
Correct. Anything that they go together is going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess Mark Wahlberg, he was actually, they asked him to play the role of Pollux Troy, which was Nick Cage's younger brother in the movie, and he turned it down. So could you imagine Mark Wahlberg in that movie?
Yeah,
that would have been crazy.
So early Mark Wahlberg.
Exactly, very early. Yep, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was just really good. I won't keep beating this down and stuff, but I think that. To me, I think that was the movie that probably really launched Nicolas Cage in my mind. That just showed like how good of an actor he was.
Because that would have been, John Travolta was already still big, but Nick was just. Did he have Con Air before
Con
this?
Air came out afterwards. That came out, I think, in '98. I think.
Oh, okay. So this would have been.
Yeah.
Very early.
And he was
Cage.
really trying to like show like, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm an action hero. And then he just took off after that. But yeah, anyways, so that's Face Off. If you haven't watched that movie, man,
go check it out.
Go check it out. It's worth it.
It's hard, like I was telling you, it's hard to find. I couldn't find it on any of the streaming services, so you might have to buy this one from Amazon or buy it on DVD or whatever. Did you see this one in the movie theaters?
I did see it in the movie theater.
Okay.
Yep, I did. Like I said, I was a big fan of both of those guys, so I was like, this looks pretty cool. So a bunch of friends were like, why are you? I don't know. I just loved it.
Just clicks.
It just clicked. It was good.
Okay, well, my next pick is a day in a life movie like Dazed and Confused. It's called Can't Hardly Wait. Came out in June of 1998. And it has the kind of like what we were talking about, Dazed and Confused. It has your characters that you can relate to. So this will kind of be a repeat, but I like this one. We actually bought this on DVD. My wife and I both like it, so I think that's kind of why.
It's a great movie.
It is. So the basic premise is it's the day of graduation, and it's the night your party after graduation party that most high schoolers do. So it kind of has the same theme as Dazed and Confused, Last Day of School, but this is the seniors as they graduate and all the friends and the hilarity that ensues. So the characters are Jennifer Love Hewitt, who plays Amanda Beckett, kind of the pretty girl. She's the prom queen, the head cheerleader. Ethan Embry plays Preston Myers, who's in love with the pretty girl. Who's always loved her for the last 4 years, but never said it. Yeah. So he's that character. Charlie Corsmo, who did William Lecter. He's the nerd. Then you have, let's see, Denise Fleming, played by Lauren Ambrose, is kind of the outcast, can't fit in. Seth Green, hilarious guy, plays Kenny Fisher, who was friends with Denise Fleming, but kind of grew apart. So it's kind of those, I was friends with this guy or a gal, but now we kind of just grew apart. You have that one. And then Mike Dexter is the jock. So you have that whole story. I mean, those are the main characters. They have other side characters, but those are kind of the main ones. Again, you can kind of relate to one of those characters. Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's the pretty girl. Everybody has the pretty girl in their class. And they have a band in there called Love Burger. They can't do their final performance because they get in a big fight and they storm off, but then they end up getting back together. And so it's just, again, all these little micro stories, just like Dazed and Confused of them. So you have the jock that always picked on and bullied William Lecter. So William Lecter's trying to get back at him at the final scene. He's trying to lure him back to the pool house, and he's gonna get him drugged up and do something awful to him, but ends up not happening because they become friends. But then they can't get back together later. So the film takes place Wednesday, June 17th, 1998, which was Barry Manilow's 55th birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
Because in the movie, he's trying to talk to Barry Manilow about Mandy, the song Mandy, because her name is Amanda.
That's really cool.
Jennifer Love Hewitt gave Ethan Embry a bunch of breath mints before they did their final scene because he was always smoking pot on set. And so she didn't want to kiss him because he smelled like pot constantly.
Yeah, so he smelled like a skunk-scented chimney.
Yes, to put it mildly. Then they have these side characters, the klepto kid that's always stealing stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's always, he stole something from the convenience store where Kenny Fisher was at, a statue from the party that they're having at the house that they're having the party at. He stole one of the Love Burger t-shirts, and then he steals a police car.
That's awesome.
Oh, just so funny. I don't know. It just seemed to hit with me for whatever reason. Again, because everybody can relate to it. You have that graduation party.
Again, just that relatability.
The jock and the nerd. You have here's a funny thing on a throwback to Rory Cochrane from Dazed and Confused, which is kind of ironic. I picked this, and then it had a scene or a clip or a phrase from it. Right. She was a hip lady. He's talking about Velma from Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yep, exactly.
instead of Martha Washington. Yep. It's a hip lady. At the beginning of the movie, they introduced their characters. So they had Mike Dexter, varsity football, varsity basketball, varsity wrestling, and then they go to the next person and tell them kind of their credentials. So the pretty girl has her credentials, and Kenny Fisher, his credential was JV basketball,
right.
Played one game.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And then they get to William Lecter, and he's the valedictorian. He's just all these things. But what's a funny thing is, if you go through there, they have kind of the funny things that they threw in there. One of them was the Perpetual Motion Award from Space Camp, Dead Romance Language Club, large wooden club, anti-athletic club, and then the Klingon language club, and then the kite club that he was part of.
That's
and
funny.
so if you've seen the movie, they scroll through his. It's just
Right. Just
huge,
going,
real
yeah.
long. They just repeat it in a loop over and over again. But I
okay.
guess if you go frame by frame, you can read.
You read those. That's hilarious.
And so they just threw some funny things in there.
That's funny.
Some funny quotes were, I downloaded this little baby off the net. I know exactly how many spirits I can imbibe without affecting my judgment or my behavior.
That's so funny.
And his friends are really nerdy. And he's like, William, from this light, you somewhat resemble David Duchovny. Because this came in the late 90s. And so William Lecter has his two buddies that are trying to help him out. And probably one of the funnier scenes is they're trying to plan how to get Dexter, get him inebriated and do what they want to him. And they're like, well, I want to be Grand Moff Tarkin, because they have the Star Wars figures.
Right,
and
yep.
he's like, well, I don't want to be Grand Moff Tarkin. I want to be Boba Fett. Well, okay, fine. You be Grand Moff Tarkin and you be Boba Fett. But I don't want to be Boba Fett. He's like, fine, shut up. You're both kiss dolls.
That's right.
They have these kiss dolls are trying to do it. Oh my gosh, just a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, it's kind of a stereotypical day in a life, but it just it's
good though.
It's good. It's
good.
funny.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it. I think I got it on DVD for
I saw
$10
it on DVD.
or something like that. It's not out of this world, but it's a lot like, again, those Varsity Blues is another one that again kind of has that day in a life, and this one, well, that one's more of the day in a life, but this one is truly, because it just takes place about 7 o'clock at night until they get arrested and end up in prison. And then at the end, they tell what happens to each character. Okay. We talked about in Dazed and Confused, they have the guy that keeps coming back to these parties.
All right.
And this one was Trent McNeely. Trent McNeely. He's like, he keeps coming back. He's been graduated for 2-3 years. Right. He keeps coming back. And then Varsity Blues, they have a guy there that keeps coming back.
Oh,
yeah. I wouldn't miss any of these.
That's right.
So it's funny how they have the same character in each movie.
Going on with it. That's funny.
So
that's good stuff. Good movie.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. What's your next pick?
All right. So I think we're down to the last two picks,
one.
isn't it?
Last two, yeah.
So
and they both star the same
isn't that
character.
Funny? Go figure. So my pick is Dumb and Dumber, December 16th, 1994, written and directed by the Farrelly brothers, so Peter and Bobby Farrelly. So basically, if you've never seen this movie, I don't know how you've never seen this movie, but basically Harry and Lloyd are two good friends who happen to be really stupid. They set across country to get to Aspen, Colorado to return a briefcase full of money to its rightful owner, Mary Swanson. And after the trip one mishap after another, the duo eventually make it to Aspen, but the two soon realize that Mary and her briefcase are the least of their problems. So that's obviously the premise of the movie. Budget was $16 million. It grossed $247 million, which is incredible. It starred obviously Jim Carrey as Lloyd Christmas, Jeff Daniels as Harry Dunn, and Lauren Holly as Mary Swanson. So I don't know if you noticed this or not, but if Lloyd Christmas and Mary Swanson would have actually got married, her name would have been Merry Christmas.
Yep. Oh my gosh! Yep. Did you just realize that, or
no?
Okay.
I heard that a while ago, so I thought that was kind of funny. But anyways, super funny movie. Oh my gosh! And like just knowing that the director did not want Jeff Daniels to do this movie.
Really?
Jeff Daniels' whole crew, his manager, everybody was like, do not do this movie. This will wreck your career. And so everybody was against it besides Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. So Jim Carrey was friends with Jeff Daniels. They had shot a movie together before. And so he was like, we need Jeff as this character. And they're like, no, he's too dry. He's not going to be funny at all. So they finally, to appease Jim Carrey, they're like, okay, I tell you what, we'll have him come on. I'm only paying him $50,000. That's it. And so if he wants it, he can come on for $50,000. But I have a bunch of backup people that I want to play this character. So if at any time I don't want to do this, then I'm going to pull the plug on it. So Jim Carrey's like, okay, just at least give him a chance. I'm cool with it. So he brings him in. Jeff Daniels is like, sure, I'll do $50,000. And they're like, what? So because I think Jim Carrey ended up getting paid $7 million to play this role.
It was a lot.
$7 million, I think.
Towards the peak.
Yes. And so Jeff Daniels only made $50,000. And so anyways, so they bring him on. He's doing it all. The director still hates Jeff Daniels playing this character, he's got a comedian on the side of the set the entire time waiting, just like for him to be like, you're not able to do this, get out of here, come on in. So they never announced who the other guy was, but they had a comedian, is what they said, who was sitting on the side of the set. And so Jeff Daniels, like, how much pressure does that have to be when nobody around you besides your co-star wants you on that movie?
And your replacement is right
there, exactly. Like, mess up, I promise you I will do better. Like, that would just be
sitting
so
in the
much,
chair watching.
Yeah, exactly. Just like so much pressure. But I think it was the bathroom scene is when the director was like, okay, you're staying. That was too good. Yep. He was like, that was too good.
Quite a ways into the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it was just, had to been really, really hard for him. So, lots of one-liners in that thing, like where he's like, we got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off. It's like such an iconic clip. And then and obviously just when I thought you couldn't possibly get any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
That is probably the number one quote.
It is. It's gotta be. So that, and I think the other one is where he's talking about like her name or whatever. He can't remember her name. He's like, I don't really recall. It starts with an S. Let's see, like Swim, Swammy, Slappy, Slimmy, Swanson. Maybe it's on the briefcase. Oh yeah, it's right here. Samsonite. I was way off. I knew it started with an S though.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like, oh my gosh. And there's like the scene where it's like, oh my gosh, did you check the butt on that? Like, he must work out, like, I can buy. Oh, there's so many. And then like my favorite, which was totally ad-libbed. I didn't know if you knew this, but the scene where he's walking out of the 7-Eleven, Lloyd Christmas is, he's walking out, and there's these two, kind of like black guys standing there. And he goes, hey guys, whoa, big gulps, huh? All right, see you later. He just like walks away completely.
Really?
Yeah, those are just two random dudes.
Oh, it's just those weren't actors?
They weren't actors. They're just standing there like similar to big gulps. And he just goes like, hey guys, what's up? Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. He just walks away completely. Like the fact that it wasn't even supposed to be in the film. It was just, he was just playing that role, and they were just rolling.
Character.
They were just rolling, and it just happened to catch it. And they're like, keep that. That was genius. It was so good.
That's classic Jim Carrey.
It is totally.
He is notorious for that.
He is so into those characters that he
Gets
does.
in. He gets in.
I mean, he actually, for this film, when he was younger, he broke part of his tooth off, and so they cemented a fake tooth back on. So for the film, they had him take that part of the tooth off. So he's got that chip in his tooth. It's actually for real.
That is real.
It is real.
I
Yeah, that wasn't CGI or anything. Nope. He actually had them do that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, but yeah, he was so into it. But lots of super cool facts about the movie. So in the bar scene in Aspen, where he's talking about the landing on the moon, he says, "No way, that's great. We landed on the moon." That was actually, again, not in the script at all. Not in the script. He just popped it out, and they were like, "That's perfect. It was so good." This was actually kind of cool. So after the scene where he scams Seabass. It says when he scams Seabass to pay for the bill, Lloyd says he saw it in a movie. The movie he was actually speaking about was the movie Something Wild from 1986. And the guy who actually pulls off that scam was actually the guy played by Jeff Daniels. So it was cool that they tied all that together. Exactly.
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
Exactly. So again, coming back to the money, so Jim Carrey was actually offered $700,000 to appear in the movie, but right before they started filming in the same week, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective came out, and it opened up at #1 in the box office. So at that time, Jim Carrey's agents and stuff, negotiated everything, and they bumped up his salary up to $7 million, which is half of the film's budget.
10 times.
10 times, yeah. That's incredible to go from $700,000 to $7 million.
But in 94, I remember looking, he had a lot of movies in 94. Did. The Mask, Ace Ventura, and then this one.
These are the three. He was the only actor, I think still to this day, he was the only actor who came out with 3 blockbuster #1 films all in 1 year. So I think he still holds that record. So
he was hot at that time.
He was hot. He was killing it. So, but other cool things, Steve Martin and Martin Short both turned down the role of Lloyd, which would have been, I think would have been awesome. I love both of those guys.
I think they could have actually pulled it off.
I think they could have. I still think Jim Carrey did it, and it's an iconic role. And but it might not have been as big of a movie without Jim Carrey, but I still think it would have been a great movie.
I think between those two, Steve Martin would have been better.
Definitely.
Martin Short's good, but I think Steve Martin would have probably.
Yeah, I mean, The Jerk.
Yeah. This is basically The Jerk.
It's like The Jerk and then the 90s. Yeah. So Nicolas Cage and Gary Oldman, who played Commissioner Gordon in the later Batman movies, they were originally the choices to play Harry and Lloyd together. So that would have been crazy.
Yeah, you're a Nick fan, so that might have.
I don't know how that would have went. So I don't know. I mean, he does good in comedy. It's like, because I love Raising Arizona. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh no, I haven't. I need to do that.
That's the first role for Nicolas Cage, and he's really young. He's in his not the first role. I take it back. His first one is was it Can't Buy Me Love? No, something like that. It's like he plays like a really young, punk rocker kind of a kid or something like that. But anyways, Nicolas Cage in Raising Arizona, he's like stills this baby and all. Super funny. You just gotta what's his name from Roseanne? Dan Connor's character. Yeah. He's in it and stuff. Great movie. But anyways, but Nick Cage and Gary Oldman, I don't know. That would have been interesting. That would have been really interesting because Gary Oldman's really good, but he's really dry. He's a dry actor too. But
Jeff Daniels. So was Jeff Daniels.
Exactly. So, but Rob Lowe is also up for the part that for Harry. So I don't.
Maybe
he could have, because he can do kind of quippy, kind of dumb kind of characters as well.
Well, he's in Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy and did a great job. He can do comedy really good. So, but yeah. I thought it was pretty cool. Good movie. Super funny. So many one-liners. The scene where him and Mary or when Harry and Mary are like having the snowball fight and stuff, and like he gets too far into it and like smashes her face in the snow. He's oh my gosh, it was so good. And then like the scene where they're like outside and like they've just like lost everything, and he's just like, oh my gosh, I can't feel my fingers anymore. And he's like, oh really? Here, take a pair of my gloves. And he's wearing 2 sets of gloves. He's like, my hands are getting all sweaty. He's like, what? You're telling me you had gloves this entire time? And he's like, why? And the next thing you know, he's like on the ground like choking him. He's like, Harry, your hands, they're freezing.
It's just a classic. The two best friends that are just kind of idiots. Yep. You kind of get those duos. You had Wayne's World.
Yes.
You had Bob and Doug McKenzie. Yeah. I mean, so you have those, but this one is just, they take it to a new level.
Oh, to a whole nother level. It is so good. Yeah, I just it's sad because they've tried to redo that. Well, not redo it, but they've tried to kind of resurrect that, and I just think it was just one of those movies you just couldn't touch again.
Yeah, they trying to Dumb and Dumber and Dumb and Dumber 2.
Right. I think Dumb and Dumber was not very good at all. It was shocking how well that guy could play Jim Carrey. That was really cool. That was interesting. But the Dumb and Dumber 2, it was okay, but there's just really not a lot to it that stood out. That I mean, I've watched it, but I don't really remember a lot of it. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean?
You can't recap some of those. You just can't recapture. You
just gotta let it.
I mean, I'm not going to knock them when they're trying to redo some of these, but at the same time, it's like, I think
sometimes
I'm just going
to let it go.
I'll just go watch the original again.
Yep, exactly. So, very iconic movie. Very, very funny.
Well, sticking with Jim Carrey, I picked Liar Liar, which stars Jim Carrey. Came out in March of '97, grossed $302 million. Huge.
No kid.
And Jim Carrey, obviously, he had riding the wave of his popularity from the other movies we just talked about. But the two iconic characters in there were Jim Carrey and Carrie Eels, as they pronounce.
Yep.
From Princess Bride and several other movies.
Oh man, he was so good.
Two very good actors.
Yep.
The outtakes reel on this one is hilarious. I
gotta watch it.
I can almost just sit and watch the outtakes.
I haven't never seen them. I need to see them.
You gotta watch it. Hilarious. But the basic premise is Jim Carrey's character Fletcher Reed is a lawyer, and his son doesn't spend a lot of time with his son because he's involved with his work a lot. And so at his birthday, he makes a wish when he's blowing out his candles that I wish my dad couldn't lie for a whole day. And Fletcher Reed, Jim Carrey's character, is a lawyer. Right. So, of course, the stigma is lawyers lie all the time, and he's notorious. I guess they introduce his character as he lies all the time to get his clients what they want.
Right.
And that's the whole premise, is he has to spend 24 hours without telling a lie, and he can't. So when he tries to lie, he can't lie.
Right.
So many scenes in there where he gets pulled over for speeding, or he gets pulled over. He's like, "Oh, do you know what I pulled you over for?" "Well, it depends on how long you were following me,
That's
officer."
right. Yeah.
He goes through this whole line of stuff.
Yeah, and he starts like, doesn't he say, he's like, I got unpaid parking tickets, I got this. He like,
I was speeding. I didn't signal when I was turning. And it goes all this line. Right. And then he opens his glove compartment, and it's full of parking tickets.
Yeah,
he's just like,
because the guy was like, "Is there anything else?" Yes. He's like, boom, and all these. And he's like, "Oh my gosh!"
And his car ends up getting impounded.
Yes. Oh man, that's so funny.
Oh, it's just a hilarious movie. And some of the things when he reveals to Max, his son, that he can't lie, and so he starts asking him all these questions. Yeah. And like, if I keep making this face, will I get stuck that way? No. In fact, some people make a good living at that.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Obviously, just a reference.
Nodded himself, exactly.
One of them is wrestling real on channel 52? No, but in the Olympics, yes.
Yes. Yeah. I love this scene where he's trying to lie so bad, and he's got the pen.
Yes.
And you probably have
it in here.
but
pen scene
the
is
pen
huge.
scene is the best scene, where he's like, the pen is blue. He's trying to say is blue, and he just can't say it. And then finally, like the very end, he's like, the pen is royal blue. He's trying to say red, and he can't say it. But
and he just does his physical comedy with that. And
yes,
and then the pen tries to attack him, and he's like, "Write it, or I'll break you off."
That's
and then he tries to write it. And he puts his knee on the desk. He's
That's
like,
right.
Write it. And then he has another scene in the bathroom where he beats himself up. And actually, I read that he actually did all that. He actually did hit himself on the toilet, ran himself into the wall. It was choking himself.
I was gonna say, it looked real. I mean, but he's just so committed to beating the crap out of himself for a role, man.
He literally beat himself up to get into a role.
He did. Did you ever see any of his really early stand-up comedy?
When he did the Fireman Bill?
No, like his comedy, like his stand-up comedy, when nobody knew who he was. He was just going around.
I haven't seen that.
Playing like at the Funny Bone or something like that here in Omaha. Like, he was unknown. Nobody knew who he was. There's some videos of him. I think it was like 1980. Or something like that, 82, 81, something like that, whatever. And there's some videos. He was like beating the crap out of himself.
He's a physical comedian.
Yeah, very physical comedian. And he come walking on the stage in this first one, his arms like sticking out behind his back, and it's just like, not in a direction it's supposed to be sitting. And everybody's just laughing. And I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's like playing like it's no big deal, And then he like swings it around and stuff. And they're like, "Okay." And he's like, "Obviously, I could be considered a physical comedian, but I'm not going to do my whole set like that, because that would just be boring." And he just throws himself in the air, and boom, just lands on the ground.
Oh, really?
And everybody just dies laughing, And he stands back up like, "Whoa,
what happened?"
Exactly. Oh my gosh, so
I'll
good.
go find this probably on YouTube someplace.
Oh, yeah. Yep, exactly.
Let's see. Carrie Ewells plays the. So him and his wife are divorced, and so Carrie is the boyfriend of the wife, and he's trying to get the favor of Max, his son,
trying to
and
build
he has
that relationship.
The claw,
yeah.
Because then Jim Carrey has the claw, but Carrie does the claw with just
like
his little finger. He's like, "Ooh, you're afraid of the claw.
You're afraid of the claw." And the kid's just like, "Oh,
hilarious
leave me
little bit."
alone.
I guess Carrie Ewells says that he still has people come up to him and pretend
the claw. Isn't that funny?
Claw.
That's so funny.
Steve Martin again. He was going to be in Dumb and Dumber. He turned down the role of Liar Liar.
Jeez.
He was going to be in Liar Liar. I wonder if Jim and him have some sort of same agent or something.
It's kind of the pass of the torch if you think about it.
That's true.
They're going to Steve Martin at that time, and he was probably at the end of his big film career, and Jim Carrey was just starting to take off, kind of a thing. I think it was just the crossing of the two paths.
So it shows that if a lot of directors and producers try to go to Steve and Jim, so they must see, hey, you guys have a lot of similarities.
Yes.
But he could maybe pull it off.
I think he probably could have. Yep.
In one scene at the end, when he's at the airport, at the end, I guess Jim Carrey dressed up as Fire Marshal Bill as one of the people in the background. He's only there for a second.
Oh,
but I looked
no
online
way.
and they did some stills of it. And yeah, you can see him. He's in his Fireman Bill outfit. So I guess he dressed up as that character, not telling anybody, went into the crowd and as Fireman Bill.
Let me show you something. That's so funny.
The filmmakers also were influenced by the movie Big.
Okay.
So some of the concepts came from the movie Big, from this kind of this magical thing happens and what happens. But just the whole concept and the whole movie, just because Jim Carrey makes it, but the concept that I can't lie is like, you don't always realize how often we do lie.
Right.
When just day to day,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
even
just
realize
little
it.
things. Yep, exactly.
Like when Max says, Mom says that beauty's on the inside. And he's like, that's just something ugly people say.
That's right.
Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, jeez.
You know?
Yep. Well, and just like even at like the whole work scene, where he's like, I can't lie, and now he's got to go into this like board meeting or something like that, and
before the partners.
Yes, that's right. And he has to go around. He like goes around the room, and he's like making fun or like basically calling everybody out on what they're
really like instead of lying to them.
Exactly. And he's like, "You're old, you're smelly," and everybody's just laughing like, "Oh, this is so funny." He looks at that lady, he's like, and slut. yes.
And see again, that's relatable. Like, I can't tell you what I really think about you because I'll get fired, or and it's just that scene again. I think it's obviously Jim Carrey makes the movie, but the whole premise is pretty funny.
It is.
And then it has one of your Dazed and Confused, the gal from Dazed and Confused is in there. So this would have been towards she did Chasing Amy, I think the same year.
It was about that time.
Yeah. So we did our 90s movies. So let us know what you think. You can go to covertnerd.net, and I'll have all the notes there for all the juicy details. We went over most of it, but I know there's lots of other things in the notes that we didn't talk about, but you can still go check it out. And then also go to Make Eternia Great Again. You can just search. I would just go to, I guess, the podcastarcade.com.
Yep, podcastarcade.com. Otherwise, Make Eternia Great Again. I think, we don't have a .com, actually.
No,
we
but
just
if you
have
go
our
to the
Facebook
Podcast
page.
Arcade.
Yep. We're on Twitter, Make Eternia Great, GR8, on Twitter. Or, like I said, Podbean, iTunes, all that stuff. You can find us all in there.
Just search it. You'll find them.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to have to pick another topic, top 5 or otherwise, and tackle it.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on. I love this. I love this show. I love doing this with you. So anytime.
Awesome time sitting down with Jeff. It was fun, if you couldn't tell. I hope you enjoyed it as much as Jeff and I enjoyed recording the podcast. Again, covertnerd.net for all the links to the Mega Podcast and the other episodes from this podcast. Also links to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out all of those. And please, if you like the podcast, share, tell your friends about it. And again, thank you for listening. It means a lot to me that you spend time with this podcast. And until next time, nerd it up.